Hey, Vig.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Can you see me or no?
No.
Can
hear you though.
All right. I'm on my phone. I'm trying to figure it out. As you said.
All right. Everybody's on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of RWISOA webinars. We're running a couple of minutes behind. We're having some technical difficulties, but we got everybody in. We're gonna have another great show today. Colin, quick question. We have you, right? In audio?
Yeah, I'm here. My laptop is really old, so it doesn't work with the video. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it on my phone. I can do it on Zoom calls and everything, but
okay. Do you see our video right now? Can everybody see our screen right now?
Yeah, I can see the video. I see Vig. I think that's Ted.
That's right.
Yeah, Ted and Christina. Yep.
But those are the only two people I can see.
All right, we're sharing the desktop right now. Can you see the desktop now?
Yeah, 11-week webinars. Yep.
Very good. So let's kick off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody was listening to this friendly conversation, so not a biggie. So like I said before, we have another great show. This is going to be the 11th week. Next week is going to be the final live webinar. We've been lucky enough to connect with almost 5,000 referees in this past 11 weeks. Referees from 48 states, representing 83 NISOA chapters from 15 countries, and we have a total of almost 8,000 downloads of our shows. So it's been great. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the NISOA Foundation for the sponsorship, and thank you for the RWISOA Board of Directors for allowing me to always do crazy stuff. By the way, I need to apologize if you hear a little voice in the background. That's my 3-year-old who's wanted to be with me today. She wants to be a referee, so I apologize if she's a little bit too loud. So if you want to hear about, learn more about RWISOA, visit our website, rwisoa.org. And as I said before, we're a NISOA chapter. If you want to become a college referee and you don't know the contacts within your area, please visit the NISOA website at NISOA.com, and you'll be able to find the contact so you can become a college official and to get year-round instruction. As I mentioned before, we're sponsored by the NISOA Foundation. If you're a chapter or a member of a board of directors from a chapter, please visit the NISOA website and see if you can get funding for instruction and training. They're always open, and they really want to help everybody. So feel free to log into the NISOA.com website and look for the contact information for the NISOA Foundation Fund. Today, we are live on the webinar. We're also live on our Facebook, and we are live on our YouTube page. Who do we have today? We have Christina, Unkel, and Ted Unkel. They're going to be giving us a beautiful presentation on referee IQ. Helping out today with the coaches section. It's going to be Dave Bork and the Unkels as well. Our coaches, we have Colin, Hodge. Did I pronounce it right? Because I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, that's good.
That's close enough. And
Yep.
And Matt, can you pronounce it, Matt?
Viggiano.
Viggiano. There you go. I didn't want to kill your last name.
I appreciate that.
And yeah, no problem. And then we're also gonna have later Marc Lawrence, our NISOA Vice President, the recent elect president of NISOA. And next week like I mentioned before, it's going to be our last week. We already have Tamburino confirmed. We have a couple of guest speakers, surprise guest speakers, and we're going to have Lance coming back for another clinic. So that's next week, and that will be the final one. Just a quick reminder, once we start with the sections, the questions, please use the questions section on the webinar, or send us an email to rwisoa@gmail.com. All right, that way we open up the microphones and you can ask those questions. We can't just keep everybody open, otherwise it'll create a chaos. You guys know that. Been doing it for 11 weeks. You should know how that works. So we're about to start with the coaches session, but before we do that, I want to bring in Christina, Unkel. She wants to talk. Want her to talk a little bit about this project. It's a beautiful project. For those of you that are familiar with our RWISOA philosophy, our training sessions are based on the four main factors, four main aspects of refereeing: the physical aspect, psychological aspect, technical and tactical aspect of refereeing. And this one, this has something to do directly with the physical aspect of refereeing, something that I want to introduce to some of our programs. So, Christina, you there with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. If you want to talk a little bit, introduce your program, your new program. It was very interesting.
Definitely. Is there a way I could share my screen? If not, no worries.
Yes, you will. You know what the problem was? I was looking for Christina, but you're not here. Ted is here.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
My apologies. You should have access now.
See here. Yeah, I'm not showing. But you're not showing how we can do that.
All right, it'll pop up in just a second. Again, the connection is very slow today.
We'll just start speaking to it.
Yeah, and kind of when we do that, I can go ahead and start speaking to it in the meantime. And so essentially, the deadlift effect is effectively a strength and conditioning program that's specifically tailored for soccer referees at the highest level. The one thing that usually gets overlooked when it comes to refereeing is the fact that we must train like the athletes that we referee. You would think that would be kind of common sense, but unfortunately for referees, there's nothing really out there that necessarily is tailored for it, specifically the dynamic element that our game has for us. And you'd be surprised to learn that even when it comes to, even at the highest level, it takes quite a bit to get there. So just wanted to do a quick little introduction to the deadlift effect for those who do not or may not have heard of it or know about it. I'll go into a little bit quickly in the sense that, like I was saying, strength and conditioning programs, they are customizable to each referee. The focus is that developed by my business partner, Liz Lowe, who at this point is a certified strength and conditioning coach who works with elite athletes at IMG Academies. We met about 8 years ago, and she's been on the path with me with regard to strength and conditioning and focusing on referees, specifically the dynamics and demands that we have in our game. So there's a lot more that you can read on the website. I just wanted to give you guys a brief intro to some of this with regard to the DLE, so you know. And like I said, the programs are based upon endurance, strength, power, and actually there's a recovery element. But they are functional movement training, and they are based for wherever goal or level you necessarily want to reach at the end of the day. How do you train to be able to be ready for these matches for what we do? So jump on the website. We'll talk a little bit briefly. You can also go, pull it up here really quickly. Check that out a little bit more. We did have a symposium that was in conjunction with the Development Academy back in 2018, the DA down here in Sarasota, Florida. But one thing I did want to bring everyone's attention to briefly is right there's a download of free strength testing. So the programs will be going live on June 21st. But in the meantime, there is a week-long training for you to basically assess where you are on a fitness strength testing. Probably the biggest thing because our game requires a lot of explosion. And just wanted to do a brief introduction into that. And I'll let Richard introduce essentially what we are going to be offering at the end of the day.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now? Yes?
Yeah.
Great.
Sure can.
So we are going to give away, at the end of the webinar, we're going to give away the level 1. Am I correct, Christina?
Correct. Yep, foundational. They're all built on each other.
Yeah, just feel free to introduce it. Go right ahead, introduce it. You know better than me.
All right. Yeah, no worries. And so like Richard said, at the end of the day, today, everyone who's asked a question throughout the entire program here tonight will be entered into a random raffle, effectively, to be able to have one of the first programs, which is the foundational course, for free. So, yeah, get your questions in. See if you can get yourself a free strength and conditioning program.
Great. So the deal is send questions, right? We open up the mic, and at the end of the webinar, we get all those names together. We put them in a wheel of fortune, and we give away one of these programs. All right. So that will be only for those that get involved today. I want people to ask questions. We have 2 great coaches with us. You need to participate. We have 2 great referees. We have great people today. So I want everybody to participate. So as an incentive, we're going to give away one of those the entry level sign up or whatever it is. I apologize. That's our referee too. For those of you know me. So without any further interruptions, let's introduce Matt, which I'm actually going to ask him to introduce himself. Matt, you're from Marit College. You're the men's soccer head coach. You've been there for a very, very long time. I actually remember, you don't remember me, but I do remember you 13 years ago in a nice game. Let's put it that way. And so why don't you introduce yourself? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm the head men's coach at Marit College. This is a, mid-major up in Poughkeepsie, New York. I've been coaching collegiately for 20 plus years now, which is kind of scary. I'll be going in my 14th season as the head coach at Marit. And I appreciate you, Rich, having me on, and obviously in a less adversarial atmosphere. So I know you guys got all of you have a hard job to do, and I think this is great that that you guys are doing this, and it allows me the opportunity to speak to you as a normal human being and not yell across the field at all of you.
Yeah, no, we don't look at that's a misconception that we talk. The coaches think that we're from the dark side, but that's not the case. Actually, we all love the game one way or another, and you know how it is. So it's a lot of passion. That's what makes this game so beautiful. So sometimes there are big misunderstandings. That's one of the reasons why we've been doing these sessions, just to get everybody to understand and see the game from the other side, right? From the coach's side, from the referee side, and the admin side, which is a different side that we don't talk too much about. But the ADs, that will be the other side, right? And we don't talk about that aspect, but we're gonna have to if we want to be in line with today's game. Also with us, we have Colin Hodge. I hope I pronounced it right. That's all that name. And coach of Dominican College and men's soccer head coach. And you've been there for a long time as well. And you played club and you coach club. And I referee many of your games. And I know you may not remember me. You probably remember me from the last couple of games, but it's okay. That's always a good thing. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about your background, Colin?
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I appreciate this. Just like Vich said, it's always good to talk and connect. And I do remember you. So look, I played at Dominican. I started out at Ulster County Community College. I played 2 years there. I transferred to Dominican as a player. I played 2 years there. And then I became the assistant coach. And then eventually in 2012, the head coach. I play over 30s. Well, I used to before I tore my ACL with Coach Viggiano from Marist. So we know each other very well. But I've been at Dominican for a very long time, and I also coach at Manhattan Soccer Club in the city. So, you know, I've been around the game in New York for a long time, and it's a great place to be. And you know, the refereeing, I would say, in the college game has gotten a lot better over the last few years. So, you know, super happy to be on the call.
Yeah, no, and we are happy to have you. Let's see if we can get this back up. I apologize. The internet is so messed up today. It was messing with everything. See if we can get it back up. All right. All right, you guys can see the screen, right? Very good. Christina and Ted, you're still on the call, correct?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, great. Dave, I believe he's stuck in traffic, so he's going to be late. So if you don't mind helping me out a little bit, because what we're going to do now, we're going to play a couple of clips, one from each of the coaches' games, and we're going to ask the coaches to give us their point of view and and what happened, and then we'll, as referees, we're going to give the technical explanation of what happened and what should happen. So if you don't mind, give me a hand with that. I really appreciate it. And coaches, you're lucky because we have a former FIFA referee and a current FIFA referee. That would be Christina and Ted, giving us the technical aspect of that specific situation. So we are lucky today, right?
Yes.
So
questionable. Questionable.
Couple of weeks ago, we had two other coaches, and the topic was perception versus reality, right? And we end up with the conclusion of it's all based on how you present yourself, not just when you're making a decision on the field, but also how you present yourself on your way to the game, before the game, during the game, after the game. You know, even when you reply to emails, sometimes we get emails from coaches confirming, and the way you reply, right, starts building out the perception, right, and it's going to be played out throughout the game, believe it or not. And so that's something that I want to remind everybody, right? The way you present yourself has a lot to do with the way the coaches and players will accept or deny your decision, right? So that's important. I just want to ask Matt real quick if you can give me 2 words describing this coach, and then Colin right after Matt, if you can give me 2 words describing this referee. I apologize. Describing this referee. Go ahead, Matt.
I can't see the screen. What all I can see is myself right now. Sorry.
Okay. Do you see an orange arrow?
Yep.
If you click on that twice, it should bring the screen back up.
All right.
Or at the bottom of the your laptop, bottom of the desktop, it should be like a little blue flower. If you click on that, that may help.
This is why I'm a soccer coach.
No, Matt, I'm right there with you, man. I'm not seeing it either.
You don't see anything right now? No one sees anything? Okay.
I see Matt.
Let's do this again. Okay, that's okay.
I
There we
see
go.
it now.
There we go.
Yes? That's New York internet. I apologize. All right. So you see a referee there? Great. Matt, if you can give me 2 words describing this referee. Hey, and feel free to be open, please. All right? This is a teaching moment. We don't care who the referee was. We're not criticizing the referee. We only see a somebody wearing a referee uniform, and we want to get your side as a coach when you see a referee like this. Go ahead, Matt.
I don't know. I'd say uninvolved, and I'm trying to remember this, to be honest with you. Kind of apathetic, to be honest.
Okay, and you're being very nice. That's okay. You're nice. How about you, Colin? Give me 2 words describing this referee.
Uninterested, or, I would say maybe he's just, done.
Okay, very good. And I'm going to ask Ted, as a referee, as a FIFA referee, can you describe this referee with 2 words?
I'll do 3. Not focused. I'm disappointed. We'll go with that.
Okay. Well, you're being polite. You shouldn't be. Me is, I give you one. I give you one phrase. I don't give a damn. That's what I get out of this. So it's important when you're a referee to remain professional throughout the entire game and remain focused, right? And look like you really want to be there, right? Because if this referee will take away a goal, right, from a very close-up side, I am sure that the coaches will have something to say. Am I right, Coach Matt?
Absolutely.
How about you, Coach Colin?
Yeah, of course. If I noticed him doing that, which I probably would.
All right, so it's important to go back to 2 weeks ago's clinic, which had to do with perception, right? Today we're going to be focusing on how to have these conversations with the coaches in a positive way, right? Instead of using our powers given to us by the rule book, right? And nothing's going to work. And at the end of the day, none of the tips that we'll give you will work if you behave this way, like this referee, right? So I just want to throw it out there. So every once in a while, we need to referee a game where we will have a coach that will, behave in a irresponsible manner. And I will say many, many times, and Christina and Ted will back me up with this, many, many times, we are the reason why the coaches are behaving this way, either because we allowed that behavior to continue, or we created an environment, right, that instigated the coach and the players to behave this way. Correct me if I'm wrong now, Ted.
No, keep going. Keep going.
So when I asked the coaches to help us out with this, right, I asked both coaches to bring in a clip that, they wanted to talk about, right? Something that they figure, something went wrong, and either I was wrong as a coach or the referee was wrong, and then the emotions kind of like started to elevate to a point where, it went out of control. So Matt submitted this clip, so we're gonna play it now. Hopefully everybody can see this. You ready?
I can see it.
All right. While I'm playing this, Coach Matt, if you don't mind, give us the stats about this game. What was this game about? The time, who was playing, what for, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, sure. I mean, background, this is a quarterfinal of the conference tournament.
Geez.
We had been leading most of the game, and they were pushing ahead, obviously, to try to get a tying goal in the last minute of the game. It's a team we've played now twice in the last 3 years in the playoffs, play them every year. And obviously, I was our best player who was, dribbling the ball, and, you could see it coming from across the field, and as a matter of fact, I told Rich yesterday, as it was going on, I was actually yelling at my player to watch himself because I could see him getting lined up. So obviously, and then what happened afterwards is to me is a stain on the game, both with my team and the opposing team, and for the whole conference and for college soccer in general. Obviously you got a lot of emotion going on in a game that, means a lot. We were trying to move on to the semifinals. Their season was ending. Some of their careers were ending. The player that committed the foul is a senior, or was a senior. So there's a lot of factors involved. And then obviously as we move forward here, we can get into the referee response, as a 4-man crew.
Now let me ask you a question. Can you tell us what was going through your head when you saw that challenge, and did the referee crew help alleviate your emotions, bring down your emotions to a manageable level, or their behavior actually make you more angry, more upset?
No, I mean, honestly, as a coach there, I'm worried about the safety of my player. And like I said, that's our best player. And two, more importantly, as a coach, I know what's coming. As soon as he gets hit, all I'm thinking about is, we got a game to play in the next. Sure that none of my guys did anything stupid, which, dealing with 18 and 22-year-old males is not always the easiest of situations, and, a guarantee. My hope was, as for referees, like, you can see as they come in late, that they would have been on the whistle, maybe as loud as possible, and demonstratively trying to keep it from escalating. And I don't feel that necessarily happened. As you can see, I think the fourth official grabs me instead of kind of getting in the middle of it. And for those who know me, I'm not exactly a tall guy. Every single guy in the field's bigger than me, and I think I was probably the first one in there to try to break it up.
All right, Ted, Christina, you want to jump in?
Yeah, Christina stepped away to actually get a little bit of food real quick, but Matt, this is, as a referee, it's such a tough thing. It's such a tough situation for us in that, like, we can see it coming. We work what is 35 seconds to go in this game. We've tried to hopefully work 89 plus minutes to manage certain things like this, and it's this thing that you see coming and you can do absolutely nothing about, right? You know what the outcome should be. It's a red card, but it doesn't save the safety of the player here. There's going to be a reaction, especially given what's on the line and what time of the game it is. And I think there's the difficulty, no matter how we want to get in, is that we have to issue some type of sanction for what's going on, right? And then you've got, in essence, 3 people here. Hopefully a fourth comes on from the other side to see absolutely everything that's going on. So the prevention of stuff is a bit tough, right? And then we're also taught, don't touch the players, because that could create something that ends up being a reaction back to us. And that physical nature on us, that becomes a bigger thing there. So it's an absolutely awful play. It's not, it's not even a joke, but we use the non-soccer play kind of moniker when we talk about stuff like this. And you're endangering not only the safety of the kid, you're creating a mess that kind of disrupts the game overall. It's, from the outside looking in, it would be great to say I could go in there and pick this guy out. We can break it up before it gets larger. But it's a little bit tougher to do in the moment than there. But knowing that you're going to have emotions too, listen, I want you're going to be I would assume you'll be the peacekeeper rather than try to bring this up. And we have to recognize that as well. Can we use anybody else on our side to help mitigate or help bring the emotions down? And we kind of, use some common sense in that. So, but the play is, Jesus, the play's horrible.
And as a head coach, I mean, I take responsibility, and we talked about it afterwards. Like, the fact that it was tough was right in front of the benches. There was no time left. We don't have, like at our place, we don't have covered benches. It's right. You got all the stands. There were 1,000 people standing on the sideline right behind it. There was just emotion come from everywhere. And, you know, we talked to our guys before about not leaving the bench and not coming onto the field to play, obviously. But, you know, it's I do take responsibility for that. And I know that's not your guys' responsibility at all. But it's just, you could see just the emotion of it. It was a tough situation. And then at the end of the day, you know, the referees have to take care of what they see, you know, and the outcome here was, you know, 3 red cards for them and 1 for us. But, you know, again, they had nothing to play for, and we had everything to play for. So,
yeah,
know,
of course,
it's a tough situation.
Yeah, and maybe that goes into the sanction. Sorry, Richard, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ted.
No, so like in any mass confrontation, we want to try to find some type of balance, right? You said like the outcome here was 3v1. Maybe they took into consideration that you're moving on, they're not. Maybe it truly was that they had 3 red card actions and you guys had 1. To come out of this without any red cards on your side would be nearly impossible. So best of the worst case scenario here. But I think as referees, Richard, from a teaching point, we do have to give it a lot of thought, and we have a lot of time in these things where it feels like there's so much going on and time is just ticking and ticking away, especially in the college game where we can stop the clock. We can figure it out. We can take the time to get all the information that we want to truly come out with the best outcome. And sometimes here, we kind of take what we do on the field, and then, you know, you let the conference and whatever take care of the other stuff. But we have to be conscious of everything here, the seeds, who's moving on, who's done what. It's more than just saying some guy threw a shoulder into a kid. You know, we have to be more intelligent than that too.
Yeah, and just to compliment on that, we have 42 seconds left when I froze the clip here. We have a counter attack where the winning team is attacking in a basically in a almost a 2v2 due to speed. And in this case, as a referee, I know it's difficult because of the time of the game. You know, this is a quarterfinal. You work very hard, and let me tell you, this is one of the toughest conferences, Division I conferences in the country. All right, they're very close to Sunday amateur games. All right, so it's very tough. So I know what the crew was doing, right? But still, as a referee, you need to understand where you are in the game. With 40 seconds left on a counterattack, a full-speed counterattack by the winning team, you totally need to forget about your basic technical positions. Right now, you need to get right next to the ball, run to the ball, get close to the ball, because anything can happen, especially when it's going by a full speed in front of the benches. Most likely, a losing team, especially when they have nothing to lose, they may do something stupid, and in this case, they did. So there are a couple of things here that we can learn from this. Right here, this happened right in front of the 4th official. Once you recognize what happens as a 4th official, I know you're not supposed to do this, but with 35 seconds left, get in there, get on top of the players, get right on top. Once you start doing that, the referee is going to recognize, okay, we have some urgency here. He's going to sprint as fast as he can to that position, and hopefully we'll just leave it as we'll leave the game with a game disrepute instead of a mass confrontation. I'm not saying that will prevent a mass confrontation from happening, but at least we need to try, right? And most of the time when you show presence, usually the coaches starts intervening, right, and to stop people from coming in. Because basically what happened here was we had benches coming into the pitch very quick, right? Once everybody realized that nothing happening, there is no justice. So there we go. There we have it. There will be no justice done here, right? So it became a mass confrontation for no reason. So I think with this one, we did have enough time to maybe attempt to prevent this right there. What do you think, Ted? Do we still have you? Matt, you there?
I'm here.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Go back to the still shot at the beginning of the clip, please.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll ask Matt just because I'm looking at him. What's the one thing that stands out here? And I know you know the score and you know the time, but we don't see that because we're not watching ESPN. But what's the one thing that stands out?
I mean, well, as a coach, if I'm him, I'm picking my head up and I'm hitting a diagonal across the field and the game's over. To be honest with you, you know, and I think I might have said that to him because I mean he's got the goalkeeper chasing him.
Well, that's the point, and that's my point. Like, what is a goalkeeper doing 25 out, coming full speed with the guy dribbling the ball? Like, that to me as a referee, like, you know something bad's going to happen. I don't care if you see the defender here. Like, this is just weird. This is absolutely weird. And we try to anticipate certain situations, but man, like Richard, from a referee standpoint, I see that guy coming, I'm riding his tail. I'm that much closer because it's bound to be the wackiness. So yeah, I mean, I'm closer to that his teammate, his white teammate, than I need to be because I got a guy in a purple jersey running after him.
No, and I can tell you from watching it, and I remember it live, I was so afraid that he was going to take him from behind.
Yeah, and that's what I thought the clip was going to be.
And thank God they actually were teammates at Red Bull. So I think that's the only reason he pulled up, to be honest with you. I really believe that, firmly believe that. That's the only reason, because they know each other, that he did not slide him from behind, because his body language shows that he looks like he's going to. And I think he thinks better of it.
Yeah, I think the other point here that we can make is AR1 is right in front of you, right? So, and you know what's happening as well. So start talking, right? Coaches that know me, when I'm on the line, I'm very vocal, just like a referee. So I think that would have kind of like slowed something down a little bit. So, you know, start working, and the referee would do something different, you know, by understanding the severity of the situation. Because I don't think the referee recognized what was about to happen. And like you say, Ted, I mean, right there, you got with 40 seconds left, you have a goalkeeper chasing a winger at full speed, right, on the opposite side of the pitch. That means trouble. That's all it is. So, yeah. Any final words on to make it a little bit better, Ted?
No, I mean, I think my last point is the one I want to hammer in. I mean, the goalkeeper 25 yards out, it's like a unicorn flying on the field. It's that rare, right? So let's make sure that we're getting close to that play, because you know something bad's going to happen here. But we have to recognize, you know, the ancillary stuff that's happening on the field.
Yeah, great. All right. Any questions, Matt?
No, I mean.
All right. Great. You're going to have some questions from referees in a little bit. Let me bring in Colin now. You've been quiet. What do you think about that play? Colin, do we still have you? I think we lost him. We did. Let's see if we can bring him back in.
Rich,
yeah, do we have you now, Colin?
Yeah, I think you may have muted me because Vidge went out and I couldn't hear him. But no, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a brutal play. I didn't know that happened. I actually try to watch as much of Vidge's games as possible when I can, and I never knew that happened. That's probably as bad as I've ever seen in the college game. So it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, we get to see a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, as referees.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely with the circumstances of the game, the playoffs, the road team being there, they're losing. You know, that's a hard situation to control, and with young kids, you know, that I think at any level it probably could have ended up the same way at the pros, at youth, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. What is unusual though is to have that type of play in a Division I match, especially on a playoff match. Great. Yeah, go ahead.
Unless it's Division I American football. That's what it looked like.
If I think I don't know anything about American football, but I think an elbow to the back of the head is still an offense on American football.
Vidge, I have a question. Vidge, was he okay to play the next game?
He did actually play. He was banged up, and obviously did a lot of rehab between then and I think we played, that game was on a Wednesday, and then we played on a Sunday, so he was back. It wasn't the same, to be honest, which understandable. He had a bit of whiplash.
Yeah. The St. Peter's game that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that either.
We don't have 3 hours.
No.
So, all right, let me bring you in, Colin. That was a Division I situation from a conference game. That was a playoff game. So now I'm going to play. This is different, right? This is not a violent behavior situation. This is more like a referee judgment and players and coaches management situation. This was last year's match between Dominican and what's the name of that team?
Holy Family.
Holy Family. And was this a quarterfinal? Well, this was a quarterfinal, correct?
This actually was not a quarterfinal. It was one of the last games of the regular season for us.
One of the last games. All right.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's play this clip. This is the one just before the penalty call in the first half against you guys. You remember that?
Yes.
I'm gonna play it, and if you can tell us what was going through your head, and I know you were having conversations with your assistant coach. Just give us a little feel of what was happening during this game.
Okay, so look, I had a very young team the last 2 years, and it's been a process. I had a team that we had good players, but they had a poor mentality. So over the last 2 years, we completely rebuilded the team, and Holy Family is always a tough team. They're Pennsylvania kids. They're hardworking. They never quit. And my young team had kind of been turning the corner. We won 2 games in a row. We beat Chestnut Hill. We beat Concordia. So we're on a 2-game winning streak. We're fighting for a playoff spot. These kids have never really made the playoffs because they're all freshmen and sophomores. And, I actually thought you were going to have a different clip today. But so this is early in the game, and we were playing pretty well. We had some good chances, and the referee gave them a penalty kick. I believe this is the clip that you're going to use?
Yes. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the clip?
Yeah, I can see the clip, and it's what happens is in the far right corner, but whoever was videotaping didn't do a great job. So it may be hard to see, but the guy basically trips, in my opinion, and everyone has an opinion. The guy kind of falls over into my player, and the referee gives a penalty kick. So it might be hard to see. I don't know if you can see it, but so
yeah,
we
can
were,
see it.
yeah. So so the referee gives the penalty. It's in the first, I believe the first 14 minutes of the game, and we had started really well, and it kind of, with a young team, they're fighting for playoffs. It was kind of a dagger in their heart, and they continued to play well in that game, but it was just a play where we saw something completely different than the referee saw. And I don't know if the referee even saw it. I think he saw the kid on the floor. To be honest, I don't remember if there was a lot of communication with the linesman referee and the center referee. I believe he just gave the straight penalty kick call.
So there's the goal, and I see a coach. I'm gonna play it back here. I see a coach wearing red and white on the corner here. Is that you or your assistant coach?
That's me. I'm in the red and white jacket.
Yeah. So there is the decision, and here you are, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like trying to figure it out what was going on. Your assistant coaches are asking the same question, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you asked the assistant referee one, what was the call? And we see you here trying to figure things out, and also telling your assistant coach to kind of like just move back, let me talk. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I mean, I over the years I think I've calmed down a lot as a coach. I used to be quick to, get upset and voice my opinion, but I think over the years I've kind of, understood that the game is going to happen and the calls are going to be called, and no matter how much you yell, it's not going to make a difference. So I've calmed down a lot in that sense. I've had my ups and my downs, and sometimes if I feel like there's a point to be made, I'll make my point. But most of the time I do try to get the assistant coaches just to step back a little bit and be more composed.
And we can see that here when you're actually talking to your assistant coaches, right?
Yeah.
And you're still trying to get an answer from the referee, at least a simple explanation of what was happening, correct?
Yeah, the problem was he didn't explain anything, and it's really hard to see. My video footage isn't D1 Matt Vidge video footage, but I watched that play probably 50 times, and the kid, it looks like he trips and falls behind my defender on the play, and we kind of saw it, and I don't think he really saw it, and we wanted an explanation, but he kind of didn't have one for us, and he just said it's penalty kick, it's penalty kick, it's penalty kick. So it's kind of disheartening when and like I said, my assistant coaches might be different, but I try to stay composed and ask for what he saw, and I really didn't get an explanation.
All right, so let's see if we can give you an explanation now. Ted, you want to jump in with this one?
Yeah, Richard, I'd love to, but I got to be honest with you, I did not see the play. It's been kind of on a still shot on my screen here. Curious if Matt saw it.
Same thing with me, is like a couple stills.
Yeah,
right?
It was still for me too, but I wasn't sure if that was just my connection.
All right, let's see if we can. We're going to try something different now. See if we can play it differently. See if it works better.
Yeah, Richard, why don't you do that? Sorry, this is Christina. I'm back. And there's a couple things that I heard kind of in that for the referees that are listening, that's incredibly important, is hearing the perspective from the coach as into it's a game critical decision. We have a penalty. The number one thing all players, coaches, spectators want to know is what is the decision on the field, the confidence level of it, but also the explanation of it. So when you have a coach like that, where, I love a qualification, I try to stay composed, can't talk about my assistant coach, right? So kind of remember that dynamic, coaches, that it's kind of hard to approach a bench, even if one's composed and the other one isn't. Just kind of food for thought, is from the referee's perspective, is that at the end of the day, they know that their final decision, if you've made that with clear, concise, strong visual, physical cues, is a penalty kick. Then you should be able to break that down based upon, the considerations, right? Dependent upon whatever it is. Give those quick 2-3 synopsis. I think one thing that really, really helps is think of it like if you have a 5-second ability to explain the decision on the field that you make, find those 3, 4, 5 buzzwords that will help explain it to the coach. You do not have to have a full conversation and an explanation back and forth, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to clearly communicate that. Instantly from the physical side of it, but then second through the verbal, and that might just be 5, 6, 7 words that really hit those buzz terms to help explain to the coach at that point. It can save you a lot when it comes down to game disrepute, when it comes down to management of the benches, as well as also kind of imposing the fact that you do know what you saw, and that's the reason why you have that outcome.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Can you see it better now? Do you guys see it better now or no?
Yeah, so
it literally it just jumped over the foul.
You should be looking at the guys behind at the back end of the 18-yard box. I don't know if you can see it. It's hard.
Yeah, let it play from here, please. Let it play from here.
All right, it's better now, right?
Yeah, this restart is a free kick on the other side of the.
Yes. I'll give you the technical thing in here. I did talk to the assistant referee from that side before. No, it was just a minor holding by both of them, and he was just focusing on the red player. So he made the decision as a holding foul. So that was the decision on the field. So
yeah,
can we be technical now and trying to figure it out? What can we do better for the next time?
Yeah, I'm still looking at a still shot, and I haven't seen the foul yet. But I guess a general point is we can't guess. We can't see somebody on the ground and make a decision based on that. You know, people fall all the time. It's going to be a service in from the backside, so we have to put ourselves in the best position. I can't, without seeing this video go, I don't exactly know where he puts himself in position. But any drop zone in a penalty area is going to have a bunch of people in there. We talk in the professional game, man, to have a upper body type of foul for a penalty is got to be so clear. And part of that is, listen, there's contact in soccer, right? And the outcome in what is an 18 by 44 yard, part of the field could be so great, where a simple foul could be a penalty and an opportunity to score. Simple foul could turn into a red card. I mean, that area is such an impactful area of the field. So, it's on us to be a bit more, understanding of what's going on in there. And I really do wish I could see the clip to speak a bit more specific to it.
So
you can't see it. You still can't see it?
No, it's not playing, Richard. So Ted, I know my opinion is biased, but you know how a striker is playing back to goal and he holds off a defender with his hands on the chest?
Yeah.
So in my interpretation of the play, that's what their forward was doing. He was holding my center defensive midfielder on his back, and my defender moved to his right to make a play on the ball, and the guy lost his balance and fell over. So that's what I saw. You could see something different. Rich could see something different. Vidge could see something different. But that's what, I know the clip. I haven't watched this since October. But that's what I remember seeing. And obviously, again, my opinion is biased. But again, I think the referee, if on a free kick from that position, I would imagine that his starting position should be deeper on the far side of the 18-yard box. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not a referee, but that's what I would imagine. He looks to be more central, but I don't know.
You still cannot see it, right?
Yeah, unfortunately not.
It plays for like 3 seconds, Rich.
Do you see my screen now, though?
Yeah, it's moving.
I'm hoping for the best.
Do you see the video now? Is the video playing?
It stopped.
It's one of those days.
It's okay. I mean, look, it was an upsetting foul and a penalty kick, but we lived with it, and it was only one goal. The matter of the game is that we lost 3-1. So in order to win the game, you got to score more than the other team. So they were young kids. They learned from it, and we move on. And I didn't blame the referee after the game. I really try not to do that, because I know refereeing is not an easy task, especially at any level. So everyone makes mistakes. I've made mistakes. Referees make mistakes. Players make mistakes. So I think open forums like this are where we can learn and teach and continue to grow in the soccer world.
Yeah, and we could learn a lot better if we had the actual video. Too bad the video's not playing. So basically here, there was a penalty decision by on the field, and coaches wanted to have wanted to know what was going on because they didn't see it. And it's just as simple as a referee, once you stop the clock, you have plenty of time to have a conversation. So just let the penalty be taken, right? And before the kickoff, just run by the coaches and have a 10, 15 second conversation. Explain to them very quickly what you saw, and that's about it. But just being arrogant and just making the decision on the field without giving an explanation is bringing the game to another level. There is no need to bring the game to that level, right? As a referee, we shouldn't be doing that, especially at the college game. You want to?
You make some good points, and the fact that we have this open format and we can kind of take the praise of the coaches, right, which typically we're not allowed to. I want to kind of pose it to you all, right? There's concept of, and there's different ways, and one thing we always try to reemphasize is that, there's no absolutes in refereeing, right? So you don't say every time you talk to the coach and explain something, right? It's all situation based. But in a play like this, where you're frustrated the penalty kick has been given, after the kick is taken, right? And sometimes more than not, right? More often than not, just in the back of the net. Would you still want that referee to come by to give an explanation as to what they saw, or would you be even more frustrated at that point because there's a goal scored against you? Just from a management perspective, what are your guys' thoughts?
For me, and I don't want to speak for Colin, but I would much prefer them to come over and give me an explanation, because I think that diffuses the situation. Because if I don't get an explanation, now the next call or if it goes against us, it allows me to just continually be frustrated. Where, I'm a human being, I know they're a human being. If they just come over and say, "Listen, this is what I saw, coach," and what am I going to say? I know it's over, and I've yet in playing soccer for 40 years has ever seen a ref change a call because somebody got yelled at him. So we understand that as coaches. So I just think sometimes if there's just a level of respect to just acknowledge that, hey, this is what I saw, whether I agree with you or not, it doesn't matter. But if you're telling me what you saw, then at least on a certain level, I have to accept that.
Yeah, I agree with Vig. I think the problem is that sometimes coaches may ask a referee what they saw, and then sometimes they're not confident in their answer. And when they're not confident, and that's what I got in that game, or at least it was the intuition that I got when I asked the referee what he saw, and he refused to even acknowledge me in a way. It kind of made me feel like, did he really see something, or did he just see the kid losing his balance and falling on the floor when he turned around when the ball was played into the box? Because to me, when the ball was played, he had his back to a majority of the players that were on the far side of the 18-yard box. So when the ball goes over his head, he turns around, he sees a player on the box. I don't think he was in a great position. So that's why I kind of asked for him. And I don't really ask referees every single time there's a penalty kick, what did you see there? I think like Vig and like good referees, we're always watching, we're always paying attention. So when we don't see things, we'll question it. So it's not often that I do it, but when I do it, I would appreciate it if the referee just said, "Hey, I saw a foul," and he pulled the guy down by his shirt, he grabbed his arm, he kicked him, and then fair enough. We move on to the next play.
Yeah,
I think the top three words I heard from that was, respect, right, respectful relationship, confidence, knowing what your determination is going to the coach, as well as a calmness factor. Those are probably the three takeaways I think from referees when we talk about these game critical situations, and having that management with the coach and the personnel. Those are the three things that I heard from both of you guys' responses on that. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I think the other, based on what Coach Matt and Colin are saying, when you have this type of decisions, sometimes because they don't see it the same way, sometimes if we work a little bit harder to sell that decision by simply making some eye contact with the AR, having a confirmation with the AR, right? Just turn around and look at the coach and give him some sort of signal that you're 100% sure that you got it, right? It's just little things that will give the coach the confidence that you make the right decision. And then to finalize it, just have a quick word. There's nothing wrong. We have a quick word with the coach and even the captain. And in a run by before the kickoff, go find the captain, one of the captains, and just give a quick explanation. Because it's good to explain it to the players on the field as well. Because after this, the game is going to go to a different level, and now you're going to have to work extra harder, right? Anything you want to add, Ted or Christina, before we move on?
No, I mean, I want to reemphasize the respect side. I mean, the one thing that I remember even from how Matt introduced himself, he's been coaching for upwards of 20 years. You've been at Maris for a long, long time. You've played the game for so long. Colin speaks very, very intelligently about the game. I mean, these coaches are in their positions for a reason. And if they approach you with the curiosity and the respect, then we must give that back. And we understand, listen, you guys have reputations like we have reputations and so on. But for the most part, I mean, the explanation, I don't want to explain every call. I don't think every referee should, but there's times where a quick word goes a long way. And we have such a limited toolbox where I have a whistle, I have a yellow card, and I have a red card, and everything else is up to me. That's all the rules give me is a whistle, a yellow card, and a red card. And the reason I love refereeing so much is because I have so much else there, and I can use the personality, we can use the relationships, we can use the time, the downtime, and these are perfect opportunities to do that. And use Matt and use Colin, and not necessarily use the assistant coach that went a little crazy because maybe that's the reason he's there. But to talk to the head coach, that helps you manage the game too. You've just helped yourself for the next, which this is 14 minutes in the game. You've helped yourself for the next, 76 or however many minutes there are to go. So that's the big thing I want to reemphasize: the respect level between the parties. We're both out there for equal reasons.
Most definitely, always be professional. And one thing that we always practice right from the beginning, right from the career, is how to talk, what to say to coaches, right? But we don't train enough on how to say it. And many times it has nothing to do with what you're saying, but the way you're saying it, right? So a big takeaway from today is let's be human, right? And sometimes you just need to give that small explanation. And like very well Ted and Christina said it, right? Just be respectful. Be respectful, and that's going to allow us to go a long way. With college, we get to see the coaches multiple times a year, right? So I think respect is one of the key words today. So to finalize this, just a quick thing. At the beginning, I show a video of an angry coach, right? Very angry coach. And many times we're the reason why they get angry. I've seen Coach Matt angry many times. And for some reason, I just turn around, give him a look, and he's like, I can't even talk to you because you don't say much. Well, the truth is that I am saying something without using my words. One thing that I learned many, many years ago is that conversation has to be a learning conversation, right? Instead of a promotional conversation. What do I mean by that? That I need to listen to understand instead of listening to reply. If I just reply to whatever the coach is saying, then we're not going anywhere. I need to listen. I need to understand what the message is, and then I will reply in a way that I get something from the coach. So, and when you're dealing with angry coaches, many times we're just trying to shut them up right away, right? And that's not going to work. It never works. Actually makes them more angry. And the reason for that is anger is a sign of hurt. When someone is angry, it's because that person is in pain. Something made him feel bad. That's why they get angry. So you need to approach the situation knowing that that person is in pain, right? And that's the only way. And you will create a safe space by you understanding why the coach is behaving that way. If you understand that emotion, then you create a safe space. And that's when Coach Matt or Coach Colin will come to me and have a conversation. Even though he's upset, he will have the conversation because he feels like I'm a safe place to have the conversation. He feels like I'm going to listen to him. And that's important, right? So I really want to help. I want to thank you very much, Coach Matt. Taking time off from your busy Friday. Coach Colin, the same thing. We really appreciate it. We are going to put together 6-7 clinics based on the information we received from you. We're going to put it to work. And we wanted to give you a little insight of what we do as referees, right? We do train very hard, just like players and coaches. And this is just one of the ways that we do it. So any final words, Coach Matt?
No, again, I just, I want to thank you for having me on, and believe me, we know you're in an unenviable position. We know that. I always joke around that, it takes a strong person to get yelled at by everybody and still want to do what they're doing. You're never going to make everybody happy. So, and again, just to kind of reemphasize, as long as I am talked to and somebody gives me the respect that I try to give them from the beginning, then we're never all going to get it right. We make mistakes, you make mistakes. Like it's not, it doesn't have to be that way. I think sometimes we forget about that. And the one thing from a coach's standpoint, and I know we say this sometimes at the referees, is that especially as a college coach, every game and it means so much. And a lot of us are it's our livelihood. I feel like sometimes that we can kind of emotionally get almost too invested in it because we're some of us is about putting food on the table for our families, and sometimes when we don't feel like we're getting a level of respect or there's a level of care on the other end, and that's when we really get upset and get hurt by what's going on, and we just want to feel like you're as invested as we are, and it goes back to what Ted was talking about before. I 100% agree with that, and when we feel that there's a level of respect during the game where there's no need to raise our voice, or when there's a level of respect and admiration, those are the games that are always the best refereed, even if guys make mistakes. I mean, I've had plenty of referees who I respect come up to me and say, "Hey Matt, I missed that one," and I'm done. I got nothing else to say. I respect that as a human being. I respect that more than ignoring me or giving us an attitude. But so like I said, we all learn, we all get better. But I thank you for this, and it's hopefully those of you guys that have me realize that I am a human being, not just a lunatic on the sideline. So, but thank you.
We may think it, but not say it. Don't worry about it.
Matt, wait. Matt is a lunatic. He wears shorts in like 10-degree weather.
That is true.
He's a lunatic.
Very true.
No, Rich. Again, I just want to thank all you guys for jumping on. This is great. It's educational. It's great to hear referees' points of view, especially high-level referees. But look, we're all in this together, and I think that's the main point. Without referees, we can't play organized soccer. So they help us, we help them, and I think that's the goal at the end of the day. And I'm able to coach a lot of youth soccer, unlike Vig is mostly D1. I do the D2. I do youth. I also do USL2. And there's a lot of times where I'm coaching, and like I said, I've humbled myself a lot and come down from, that guy that can get angry really quickly, especially at the youth level. And when I see that, because the problem is we need referees, and there's a lot of young ones out there, and they're actually doing a good job. And then you get some guy from Long Island that's yelling at a kid and, just really being hard on him, and it's not right. And we need these kids, we need these referees, and we really appreciate what you guys do. I had 19 games in my college season last year, and out of those 19 games, there was only 2 where I would say, hey, maybe I didn't really like the way the game was ref that day. Rich, you did one of my games, and I think I was quiet as I could be. And I thought you refed a really good game that day too. So, thank you for the referees. Thank you for the coaches. I hope we can all get back out there soon. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we all do. We can't wait to go back out there. Before you leave, I have someone who wants to ask a question to the 2 of you. If you can just answer real quick. I don't want to leave him hanging. Rick Snyder, you there? Rick?
Yes. Hi.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good.
You have a question for the coaches?
Yes, I do. I want to thank Matt and Colin because I know both of them, and I know Matt knows me. we have a long history from way back. And I know Colin, so Colin may not remember me unless he sees me in person, as I have refed them both before. But my question is, do you think, and I'm not sure at your college level, but I know like versus your men's leagues, do you get a lot of repeat referees, and do you ever feel that because of maybe a bad game or a bad confrontation that that the next time you have that referee, that you already have an opinion of each other? The referees, obviously, we have opinions of coaches and players when we see them a second and third time, as well as I'm imagine you guys have opinions of obviously the referee, whether it's the center or the ARs, the team together. Does that sometimes affect your game going into it ahead of time versus some of the bad calls or the calls that are made that?
Yeah, I mean, I think on my end, if there's a pattern, if it's a one-off thing, as a coach, like again, we realize that people have bad days. Everybody has a bad day. When there starts to be, I mean, I've had a couple people over my 20 years where, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row where I feel like I've been slighted or something hasn't gone right. Then yes, you're going in with a preconceived notion. I think, even as a coach, if there's, we know certain referees that give out more cards than other referees. Like it's something we study as well. So, it's something we do. It does put us on edge in certain aspects. But I think to kind of diffuse that, I think sometimes is the human interaction, before the game, where I think if we can talk to each other as human beings, I think sometimes that can kind of go away. And I know there's been referees over the years where we've had confrontations and maybe have not gotten along, but years later, as we grow up and mature, I think that, and we see each other more as human beings and not as adversaries. I think sometimes that can kind of diffuse the situation. But there is some thought sometimes that goes into that, and you do carry things with you. At least I do.
Coach Colin?
Yeah. Like Vitch says, I know there's a referee that I've had for multiple games. I haven't seen him in a few years, but it was every single game that he refed, someone got a red card. And it was either on my team or the other team. It didn't matter what the level of the game was, the cause or the intent of the foul, but no matter what, there was always a red card shown in that game. And so we knew going into the games, and we wouldn't tell it to the players, but Vidge has been at Maris for a long time. I've been at Dominican for 15 years now. I started in 2005 as a player, and then an assistant coach, now coach. So I've been there for a long time. So you do see a lot of referees a lot of the time over and over again. It's just the nature of the beast because of location and availability. But sometimes you do get that idea going in saying, okay, well, you know, this happened last game. Is it going to be like that again? But like Vid said, you know, I think the open forum and the conversations before the game maybe can cool the ice and you know, make the minds open. But to be fair, I really think in the last 5 years, the level of the referees and the professionalism has gotten really good, and I'm you know, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it.
So great, thank you. So now you guys know, referees, the coaches do talk about us too, and sometimes they change the way they place the team on the field based on who's refereeing the game. So with that note, Matt, Colin, thank you very much, and hope to see you on the field soon.
Thank
Same
you.
here. Take care, Rich. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you in September. Don't worry.
That's right.
We'll see you in September.
Stay safe and stay healthy, everybody.
You too. Thank you very much.
I just had my fourth kid. Vidge, come babysit.
I got 2 girls. It's enough for me.
Thank you, guys. Ted, thank you, guys.
Take care, guys. Hey, girls.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach Matt from Marist College, and I cannot multitask. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm trying to do something while I'm talking. And Coach Colin from Dominican. All right, so next, we're going to have Marc Lawrence, who's been waiting there for a long time. I apologize. And right after Christina and Ted will give us a great presentation on referee IQ. So next week, we're going to have Paul Tamburino confirmed and Lance confirmed and a couple of other speakers. So next week is going to be our final one. So the 12th week, the last one, we'll expect everybody to be here, and we'll try to do something nice for everybody. Questions for the next presenter, for Marc, email it to us, or use the question section on the webinar, and we'll open up your mic. Just make sure you're paying attention to the mic. Don't make us wait. Just a quick reminder, we're going to be giving away Christina. You still there?
I am. Free strength and conditioning program, which is the foundational one. So yeah, it's an 8-week program for strength and conditioning for referees.
It's an 8-week program, so we'll be giving away 1 week free. And you have a free download.
No, we'll be giving an entire 8-week program for free. Mm-hmm.
Wow, an entire 8-week program. That's the full, wow.
Yes, sir.
You can't go wrong. And how you win this? By asking questions. You ask questions, we'll take down your name, right? And at the end of the show, we'll put it in a like a Wheel of Fortune, and we play it at the very end. And whatever name comes up is going to get this. And it's a great program. I was looking into it. I got tired just by looking at it. I tell you, it's a great, it's a great exercise. So let's bring in Marc. Marc, you with us?
Yes, I am, and thank you, Richard, for waiting and stuff like that. You know, I've dealing with family issues here at the house during this time, so it's been good.
Great. I apologize that we made you wait.
No worries. So yeah, I want to thank you. I think you guys put on a great presentation despite the hiccups with the video. You know, and week in and week out when I've been a part of these, it's really been great. And you know, I was actually hoping to talk to Matt for a brief second while he was on, because I've never refed at Marist College, but I do have experience with Marist College in that you know, I'm an attorney and in commercial litigation, and Marist College actually sued one of my clients one time. And so the first cases I had out in New York were to go out there and defend my client against Marist College. So I don't know, he probably doesn't know much about that, but that's my only experience with Marist College. But what I want to talk about is updates for NISOA. You know, last time I was on, we talked about our strategic initiatives, and at the time we had just hired Tori Penzo as the managing director. We've continued that now with hiring Amanda Ross as the Director of Assessment. So she'll be starting up in that position to kind of help lead in redefining the NISOA assessment program and how it's going to be applicable to referees, assessors, getting into NISOA, becoming a national referee within NISOA, and then getting recommendations for NCAA playoff games and conference games. Besides that, we also, over the last 8 weeks, we've had the NISOA stimulus videos. I think that was a pretty big success. I know there's been some winners from your organization right here in the WISOA.
We've been lucky every week.
Yeah, exactly. There's over $10,000 in prizes given out as a part of that. We had just under 5,000 answer submissions in those 8 weeks. It's like 4,983. And that was put together, again, Tori was leading those videos. Marc and Lance Hinsma were putting the videos together for the questions. And then even in week 7, we had Howard Webb present on stopping a promising attack and dog. So I think that was a pretty big success we've had over the last 8 weeks, and appreciate everyone's input into that and participation, and glad you guys had some winners. Starting up now, and starting actually last Monday was the first, is we're doing a summer fitness initiative. And this is going to be on the NISOA YouTube channel. There's going to be live workouts. The first live workout is tomorrow at noon Eastern time. And there's going to be 3 workouts sent out every week on Mondays. They're going to be available on the NISOA YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/NISOA. And those are going to continue through the summer until the season starts. Besides that, we have the normal in-person clinics that we do, the NISOA Summit, the NISOA regional clinics, the clinics that we do with DCSR and with the NCAA. We're doing all of those virtual this year due to the pandemic issues and state-to-state issues and limiting travel. And so you're going to get more information coming here in the next couple of weeks as we finalize those clinics. The first one that we're really looking at is June 20th, which is not this Saturday, but next Saturday at noon. Alex Bruce is going to lead that webinar, and it's going to be on managing the modern game. And then it's going to also have NISOA rule changes, which this year is a big year for rule changes. So that should be a good one this first Saturday. Those are also going to be presented on the NISOA YouTube channel, and they're going to be recorded. So even if you can't make it live, you can still watch at your own convenience. Other thing that we're working on right now is with the COVID-19 situation, different conferences are having different procedures that they're considering. Those procedures vary across the country based on the risk associated with each state, travel within that state. Some have proposed having an additional referee. Some have proposed having temperature checks taken before the game. And then if someone was to test high on temperature check, there would be an additional referee available to fill in for them. Some conferences have limited travel or eliminated it completely. Other conferences are looking at different locker room bans, so referees won't be able to use the locker room, masks for fourth officials or anyone in the technical area, and then other issues that relate to player safety, referee safety, spectator safety, coach safety, management safety. And so what we're doing within NISOA is attempting to consolidate as much of that information as confirmed by the conferences as possible, and then we'll spit that out in kind of a summary document for everybody within the association, so that they're on the up and up with what's happening at each conference and at each school they go to. Besides that, we're looking forward to working through the season and the rest of the summer and staying physically fit and up to date with the rule changes. Like I said, again, this year is a big rule change year, so that's the information you'll see coming out. Specifically on Monday, we'll have more information on the Alex Bruce Clinic and how in the future clinics for the rest of the summer. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes. Well, not a question, but a statement. I may not see you this year since I don't think we'll be doing that much traveling with the big thing, right?
Right. Yeah, and there's cost savings associated with that as well, because the clinics that we put on in person do cost the association a significant chunk of the budget, And so we're working out, and there's nothing, I can't promise anybody anything with what I'm about to say, but we're working on seeing how that budget plays into dues for next year and going forward. So it's just we haven't figured out the total economic impact of what it's going to be yet, because there's other additional investments and things like the stimulus program, the fitness, some hired positions that we're bringing on, and these are like not they're stipend type positions, but once we have the budget more in line with the second half of the year for what we've spent versus what we have available, we're looking at whether there can be a dues reduction for 2021. So that's, again, I can't promise anything because nothing of that is finalized and we don't know those numbers completely yet. So that's all coming, but I think this year so far has been pretty good in light of the fact, especially with the pandemic issue.
Yeah, I have a question from someone from California, Carlos from California. He doesn't have a mic. He wants to know about the fitness test. Can you give us the official NISOA word on what's going on with the fitness test? Some people are saying it was suspended. Some people saying no, it's up to the chapters. Can you give us an official word on that?
Yeah, so it's correct in that it is through the chapters. The chapters administer the fitness test. As far as what NISOA is requiring, we're not requiring the fitness test. But if you are a member of the NISOA through your chapter, so if there's a requirement within your chapter, that's going to be the requirement. The reason why that's the case is because the threat level from the pandemic is different in each state. For example, New York is different now than it was 3 months ago, which is different than California now, which is different than Wyoming, or different than Florida or North Carolina or Michigan, one of those states. So it's dependent really on what that risk is and what that chapter, what risks they want to take with having those in-person fitness tests.
Very good. And final question, the future NISOA clinics, where can we find that information?
So that's a very good question. They're all going to be on the NISOA YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/NISOA. And they're going to all be recorded as well so that you can watch them if you cannot make them live. They're going to be broadcast live initially on that channel and then recorded. And so that information is coming out. Like I said, we're finalizing presenters, topics, and time frames over this, our next meeting on Monday. So it should be, next week should be coming out with the rollout of the first clinics, and then we'll roll out the rest of them as they come forward. And we meet with ECSR and meet with NCAA to determine confirmation of those dates and times.
Very good. No more questions. So unless Ted and Christina have any questions for you, are we all good?
All good here.
All right. Great. So thank you very much, Marc. Thank you for everything. 11th week. Thank you for your support. Hope to see you next week for the final one.
Absolutely great. You guys have been doing great. Keep it up.
Yep. Thank you. And by the way, Marc is the recently elected president of NISOA. He's currently the vice president. Next year, Mr. Presidente.
Right.
So,
President-elect. Right.
Yes. So have a good one. Stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So just a quick reminder for those of you watching us through YouTube or Facebook. Questions asked, you need to send us an email or log into the webinar. All right. The email will be rwisoa@gmail.com, or log into the webinar and ask the questions using the questions section on the webinar. So again, that email is rwisoa@gmail.com. All right. Next week we have full-time arena confirmed and links, and we have a couple more to be confirmed. It's going to be another great show. So, and it's going to be the very last one. And again, another reminder, we're giving away a full program to the people that ask questions. Right now, we have 7 people that ask questions by email or using the question session. So you got to ask a question if you want to win this. And what is this? Christina, you want to help me? What we're giving away?
Yes, it is an 8-week program of strength and conditioning specifically tailored for soccer referees created by a certified strength and conditioning coach who trains professional athletes.
There you have it. And without any further interruption, here is Christina Unkel and Ted Unkel. They're going to give us an incredible presentation on referee IQ. You guys ready? I'll give you the power whenever you're ready.
Yeah, send it over.
We'll take the power.
We'll send it over to you.
That photo is great because, like, I'm looking to see what Modric is seeing. We're both looking at the replay on the big board, but let's not. We won't give that away to the public.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not looking at the camera to see if your hair is messed up.
No, come on, Jesus, that's a bit early for the hair jokes, yeah.
There you have it. Do you have the power?
Got the power. Yeah, I'm gonna see if. There we go. And let's go ahead. And you had mentioned, Richard, that we actually had uploaded these to the cloud. Do you want to do it that way, or do you want to do it this way?
Let's try it this way. See if we have the volume up. Let's make sure the volume is up. See if it works.
Yep. Hold on 1 second here. Make sure that's off. And let's give you a QuickTime player. And kind of to set this up is, you know, there's so much, we get caught in this, in these silos as referees, where we are so focused on, is it a yellow card? Is it a red card? You know, is he offside? Is he not offside? We see clips upon clips upon clips, and we go through the considerations and law and all of it, and it's great. It really is. You know, these are big decisions that need to be made during the game, and rightfully the focus. I mean, we heard from Matt and Colin on what was a red card situation, a penalty area situation, and Colin had referenced that he's seen that play over 50 times. You know, there's so much impact on those specific moments. But what we do is 90 minutes plus. What we do is orchestrate a match of 22 plus players over the course of, like I said, 90 plus minutes. And so many of those decisions come in. Well, we could have matches where don't have key match incidents, don't have KMIs. And, you know, I guess my latest kind of harping point is, you know, if we're going to put so much focus on these things, what's the difference between that and a goal kick, corner kick situation? Giving up a corner kick in where we shouldn't have, or should have been a goal kick, it's just as dangerous as giving up a free kick 25 yards out in front of the frame. So when we talk about referee IQ and understanding the game, I've got 5 clips, or we've got 5 clips. They're from week 1 and week 2 of the MLS before we went on this pandemic break. 2 of them are games that I refereed. So maybe I don't like using me usually, but maybe it gives a little bit more insight, because I can tell you what I was thinking at the time, what Christina was thinking at the time when she was watching. And I think these things will give us a better idea of, hey, you know, how do we truly referee these moments? How do we referee these moments? And like I said earlier tonight about going past the only tools that we have of a whistle, a yellow card, and a red card. So let's give this first clip a try. This is a Red Bull against Salt Lake. It's our newest referee in the league, Rosendo Mendoza. And I really want you to watch this. This will start from a distribution from the goalkeeper. And like I said, I hope the quality is good enough to give you an idea of what how this plays out. Richard, can you hear the audio on this?
Yes, I hear the audio.
Okay. You know, walking through the play. Okay. So, listen, if you actually could hear the audio and you listen to, how the commentators walk through it, they think this is a fair challenge, which I believe is laughable, right? And what our decision here as a referee is obviously the tackle. The challenge that's made right here by the Salt Lake player. Let that play itself through again. I mean, that's in essence, where we have to come out with some outcome, some sanction, some foul direction, right? And that's the key stuff. But here's what I want you guys to really focus on. So we have this whole thing starts with the distribution from the goalkeeper. And as we know as referees, set plays, long distributions, corner kicks, all have a drop zone. And we've always been instructed to put ourselves in position, the best position for drop zones, to see as much as we can see. Colin was complaining about, but was bringing up a point about the penalty that was called, and there may have been a hold here or there. That we have to be in a position where the best position that we can make that decision, and that position is always going to be, between the players. We're going to have to look through the gap to see where that challenge takes place. And what I want you to watch is Rosendo, how he adjusts initially to where this drop zone is. And not only laterally, not only body movement and body position, but how he backs off because he finds himself a little too close to where the ball ends. As you see, the ball flies deep. Rosendo's right there, and he can see himself on the heavy touch by the Salt Lake player that there's going to be a decision to be made, a tackle to be made right here and there. And he's put himself in a position that he's looking and getting all the facts that you need. And like one thing that we I think are really good at as referees is we can. We're good at taking getting the right answers to the test and say, you know what, this is a reckless tackle because it checks this box, and this box, or this is a serious foul play because once again, it checks this box, and this box. But do we have all the boxes? Do we have all the information we need? And sometimes when we don't, that's where it creates some doubt. And the way that Rosendo does this and puts himself in position here, he's able to see the player come at speed. He's able to see the lunge. He's able to see the point of contact. He's able to see the mode of contact and the way the leg is extended. All these things that he can use to make the best decision. And we hope that we do come out with that. But man, there's nothing more that we can ask for just to have all the pieces of the puzzle here.
And one of the clarifications I want to make is Ted was talking about boxes. And when he talks about boxes, he means effectively what we analyze here, the FIFA consideration. That if you haven't seen those yet, go ahead and Google those, just type them in, FIFA considerations, and they basically break down different, once again, I don't mean to define the word with the word, but they define the considerations or things that a referee should take into one's analysis for making an outcome or a decision. And we talk about the different boxes, right? Where were the studs? Where was the impact? So we're talking about what body of the part clip got played. Where was the impact? At what speed were we going on? Those are the boxes that we're talking about. And although they are, quote unquote, the FIFA considerations, they are still very applicable to the college game because here we're talking about we're making decisions on determinations as to the gray areas or the discretions between a foul, a no foul, foul, yellow, or red card kind of a scenario. So I wanted to clarify that just so you understand the boxes we're talking about essentially is breaking down these considerations that help us get at the end of the day to the right outcome. And or explain why maybe this isn't a red, but this is a yellow instead. and Ted had kind of had mentioned it briefly, but anytime you see a ball in no man's land or no woman's land or no player's land in between two players, just anticipate there's going to be some type of a crazy challenge. So if you're going to heighten your awareness on these drop zones, heighten your awareness when there's a heavy touch, because people make some desperate plays at those times for some reason.
Yeah, the old-fashioned or the moniker of the hospital ball. I mean, listen, the touches in the MLS aren't the best when you compare them to some of the best international soccer, some of the best, the leagues that we know of, the EPL and La Liga and so on and so forth. And thus it puts us in some positions to make decisions on things that we may not have had otherwise. And as the skill levels drop or as the game speeds up, Division I men's soccer is quick as can be, and arguably quick or quicker than the MLS. These situations are going to happen. And like Christina said, it's such a great opportunity to raise your awareness, and you must, as soon as that ball comes heavy away from the player. If you can see the still shot here, we're literally talking about an inch or 2 inches that decide if this is a yellow card or red card. And that's at full speed, in the moment, in the emotion. And you've got to decide what is an inch or 2 inches away. The lead, the point of contact here truly is with the lead. And if you watch the play over again, it looks like he comes through, swipes through with the back leg, and that's what gets him. But it's truly the lead leg. And it glances. And the reason we go yellow, and he goes yellow so correctly here, is that because it's glancing and doesn't go through the ankle, because that contact is above the ankle, and that could be pretty dangerous. But one of the other things I want you to see here is I think that Rosendo he's seen all this, he's made a decision, and the guy who commits the tackle is on Salt Lake. So why, as we can see here shortly, is Salt Lake being the ones that surround the referee? Why is it Red Bull? Why are they upset? Because it's their player who got challenged on. So we have to know this as referees. Like, why are these people getting so emotional? Why is everybody coming at me? And my argument to this, I believe, is that Salt Lake's trying to talk Rosendo out of sending their guy off. They realize that's a bad tackle. This red card is in play here, and them surrounding him puts that pressure on him, like, whoa, maybe, this and this, whatever the words they choose to say. Man, what Rosendo does from a composure standpoint is so good. I mean, this is such an excellent example that he takes this time to process, right? Red Bull's not asking for a decision. They know which way the foul is going to go. They're not asking to see the card right now. He's taking his time. He's processing it. And then as you can see, seconds later, I'm 39, 40, 41, 42. We're up to about 50 seconds almost in this clip where he finally issues the yellow card, which I say is absolutely correct as we've checked the boxes and Christina's explained.
Yeah, one point that I want to make. No, go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, go ahead.
One point that I want to make. Ladies first. Go ahead, Christina.
No, I was going to say, the focus of this whole conversation is the referee IQ. So although we can have a conversation as to whether it's yellow or it's red, or right, some people may have one way to understand that the final decision is yellow here, but it's taking this appreciation of these clips that we're showing you and understanding from the referee perspective this anticipation of play, knowing that 2 steps to the left for Rosendo here would have maybe given him the worst angle, although he had proximity, would have given him one of the worst angles to really see that contact. So the sense that between the players is kind of where we want to be at on these plays. So I just wanted to focus on when we talk about these plays and just continuing our harness on it. We're talking about the referee IQ to be able to get these decisions correct in the first place.
Yeah, no, right on point. And what I wanted to say, just emphasize the reason why he was able to make this decision, make the correct decision. We got to move a little back to the point where he realized that he was in not in a good position to see what was about to happen. When he moved back, that allowed him to put himself in the right position to actually be able to replay and recognize the decision the right way. So I think that's something that the referees listening to the conversation need to focus on, not so much on the good, excellent decision, but what made him make the decision, what allowed him to make the decision. And that's the point that you made earlier, where he actually moved back away from play when he realized he was caught in the middle of everything.
Yeah, and where during Matt's play earlier, where we know something crazy is going to happen, and that was such a unique type of one-off type of experience there, where we want to move as close as possible to really manage what this nonsense that was going to turn into a violent conduct and so on. We tend to get ourselves caught too close to play, and the closer you get, the less you see. So backing up is perfectly okay. And I remember, I instructed Southern Regionals, or Region 3, I guess, now that we've called it that. And listen to the old days of 10 yards from play, that's no longer. It's 16, 18 is normal. That's why we don't penetrate the penalty area, because there's only 18 between the top and the goal line. That I can make a decision from outside. Let play develop. Let it kind of pan itself out, and really give yourself the best opportunity to see as much as possible.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent.
Awesome. Let's move on to another one. I'll let Christina start this one, because she watched this one live here on TV as I was out in Vancouver for this is opening weekend, SKC in Vancouver.
Perfect. We're not going to talk this one up too much. I just want you guys to take a quick look and kind of feel. So I just want to clarify, right? So this is Vancouver versus Kansas City, the FO excuse me here. And it's actually right in front of Kansas City's bench. Right?
It is, right in front of, yep.
Right, so the player on the ground is actually a Kansas City player in and of itself. To just recap, Ted is actually giving a foul against Kansas City, even though Kansas City is on the ground here. We'll show a replay here shortly. Some people may have some quick, brief questions. I know I did on my first initial glance review to be able to see why is it that the person who's dead on the ground is the person who's getting a foul called against them. But just take a quick look at this on this replay. Right. So when we break down clips and we take a look at a little bit from here, right, from what we talked about, we want to use facts as much as possible, right? And here we have a situation where we have the Kansas City player lunging in to try to play that ball, and the Vancouver player naturally running towards that play. Then we have a step on the Kansas City player's ankle, which is what you see. So I know many of you may all have initially thinking, okay, we have a foul against Kansas City and potentially, a yellow card, or, I know if someone's told me to stop before, they think it's a red card. But this is where the referee IQ has to come in. Take a look at the body language. Take a look at how the players are coming in to play the ball. How do we break it down to where we have the foul actually going against Kansas City in this kind of scenario? And that's where we really need to break down that referee IQ of how did the players go into that. And so, Ted, I'll let you explain what you saw from that and why you ended up coming out with that result. But I just wanted to peek those points, because I know those were some of those questions that I had too when I watched it on first blush.
Yeah, so like you see my position here, and like Christina says, right in front of the bench, right in front of Kansas City's bench. But regardless, when anything's in front of the benches, we've always been taught to raise our awareness on that stuff, right? So it can raise the emotions, because you have not only have people on one side of the touch line, you have people on the other. It's a situation where you can have more physical contact because of the number of people that are around. So I've got a good view of this, of how Polito, the KC player, Mexican national team player, how he goes into this challenge, and he ends up doing a bunny hop. He basically jumps with 2 feet into this little bunny hop into where the ball is going to be played. And I can see this from the moment that he leaves his feet. Now, there is no challenge I'll argue there is no time, and you can see how he's going into it there. At no time can that ball be won fairly by entering the challenge like this. And every player on that field knows it, right? The players are smart. They don't want to be injured by something like this, and all that does is put a player at a risk of injury. And the only reason that Polito gets a little bit of contact is just some really, really bad luck that he ends up landing on the ball. Ball goes away real quick, and the Vancouver player lands on his ankle. So if you take the law book, by black and white, there's a hard time explaining why this ends up being a foul for Vancouver. But I got to tell you that because of what I saw and recognized, because I make the decision right there, I'm already pointing that we're going this way. I've communicated that we're giving it to Vancouver. The Vancouver captain, Russell Tybert, who we have a relationship that we built up over the years. He's right there, and we can have a good conversation he wants red card here on Polito. So my question to my fourth official, who has a great look, and you'll see Michael Radchuk standing right there. He's got a great look. As I'm asking him, was there contact made by Polito? Because I'm trying to determine if there's misconduct going to go against him. Not even thinking Vancouver's going to make some contact there. So all these things are going through your head, and I think that where Rosendo was so great in that he had the opportunity to take his time before he had made a decision. Everybody knew which way it was going, and then have that process everything with the misconduct. If I don't come out with a direction early, I don't get as much benefit from the management of this as I would if I didn't. I think I show uncertainty. I think I show that I may be guessing here at what's going on. If I take my time and I'm like, you know what, let's go Vancouver. I just flip the coin. So it's happening from the Kansas City bench. Peter Vermees, who's an excellent coach, but very animated, very emotional. Like during this time, he asks me why. I tell him why. Everything is accepted. And then we go on and we play. And then the last 30 minutes of the match are in a different atmosphere, a different environment than I think if I don't get this one correct, or at least in my opinion, correct.
Yeah, and these are one of those clips that are comparable to those plays where someone might be diving in for a header where it's fair for all the other players to play the ball low, right? So that person is putting their head down low while everyone's peeking at the ball, and then you end up coming with a foul coming out against the person who's probably got their head kicked, but they're playing probably below somebody's knee. So these are the ones that are almost hard to explain to people at some points, but if you're confident, you're very, very clear that the person has put themselves in a dangerous position, right? And here, not only did he put himself in a dangerous position, he actually ended up getting hurt. The players know. It comes down to soccer IQ level as well. So definitely want to harp on this, but the communication, the body language has to be very clear, very concrete, very confident, like we talked about earlier with the coaches. They just want to know exactly what you're doing. So once you can put those buzz terms in really quickly, it should be able to help you explain these kinds of plays that you don't see them as often.
Yeah, one last point I want to make here is that when it always feels like we have no time as referees. It feels like we have no time. There's a couple of clips in here purposely in here that show you that we do have time. And if you see like this happening, we got an injury. An injury gives us plenty of time, right? We can manage that. We can get more information if we need it. We can have conversations off the ball. And you see Russell wants to talk to me. I'm right there. And I go and I give him something like, hey, 1 second, I will be back and we can talk. Because I have to go over here. I want to make sure that whatever it may be at that next instance, I'm going to take care of that and come back. But that goes back to the mutual respect with the college coaches. It goes back to the mutual respect with the players. Listen, we're all humans out there. We want to make sure that emotions don't take over us. The calmer we are, the more we are in control and we can manage these things out. Because as we all know, soccer is emotional, and that lid can rise very quickly. Richard, do you have anything to say on this one?
No, like you said, at a college game, you pretty much manage it like you should in a college game. You were very quick. You had interaction with the fourth. Sometimes we don't have a fourth in college, so that would be the AR1 that would take over as a fourth. And you had a quick word with the coach. I'll get right back to you, which is always important. And then you communicated with the coach. So you pretty much, even though this was an MLS game, you managed it the same way someone should manage it on a college game. I think if you go a different route, you'll end up with a mass confrontation like we show it earlier in one of Coach Matt's game. By being proactive, you prevented all that stuff. And like for the referees listening to the webinar now, a lot of them don't understand that even though it's a professional game, you do get mass confrontation, especially right in front of the benches. So if you would have managed it a little bit different, you will end up managing a mass confrontation.
You do, and I think that goes back to our guidance as referees when you try to manage that. Right? We've always been kind of guided to, if it's one or two players, then hey, try to get in there and prevent. If you get a third player, we've got to feel it out, and then anything beyond that, let's triangulate, get in a position to get as much of the information as we can gather with our views. So if you can keep that lid on things, then it doesn't get to that bigger thing. Because man, it's so difficult to come out with shall we say just everything in a mass conversation, right? We try to stay balanced, but is that choosing? Is that ignoring? Is that we start getting into some things where we have to make some decisions, and if we don't get there, it limits to what we have to make an ultimate decision on. So simplify your game as much as possible.
Yeah, being proactive, and that's the key word here. Just a quick, let me mention something real quick. You guys talked about the considerations. NISOA posted the NISOA considerations, which are pretty much the same as FIFA considerations on the website, NISOA.com, on the forums. So for all you referees listening right now, if you go to NISOA.com later after the webinar is over and click on forums, and go down to considerations, click on that, and you have like 250 questions that you should ask yourself depending on the situation to come up with the right decision. But like Ted and Christina said earlier, either sometimes we don't have the time to ask all those questions, or there are not enough questions to be asked. I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I'm glad to hear that. FIFA at tournaments, recent times, right? Last 2 years, 3 years, whatever, they try to simplify those considerations a bit, right? There's a ton of questions on there, and we don't, as you can see, we don't have time to go through the entire checklist. But there's the 3 or 4 that are so important, and hopefully we see that published here. Luckily, some of us that having the access to Marc, to Marc and Joe and these guys that have gone to tournaments in recent times, that feeds down, and I know there's it's a difficulty of getting that to the masses, but I hope that does get published, so it's not as overwhelming. But let's move on to the third clip here. This is Seattle is at home against Columbus. Jair Marufo is the referee, and there's going to be a handling decision on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Hold on one second. I need to pull the screen up here. Here we go.
So, let's see here. Yep, perfect. So you're able to see a little bit more zoomed in. I just wanted to take a second so you guys can take a look at that. It'll come back zoomed out here shortly, but one thing I wanted to focus on is the kind of play that this is, as well as to the referee's position, because it goes to understanding the type of play that's about to occur in the area that this is occurring at. This is probably some of the hardest. There's a couple of a key positioning in this game that no matter what position you take, it's never the best. There's just not a great position for these. And these plays, they happen all the time, are some of the toughest ones, right? Where you got coming down the flank on the left-hand side, driving in deep into the penalty area there, right there off of the goal line. Where does the referee position themselves so they can see the drop zone, but they can also still see an angle to get this at? And that's a very, very difficult one. You're literally taking looks at one or two steps and actively moving at this point. But one of the things we wanted to harp here is without the referee's ability or at least that understanding or awareness that not only is this a very hard angle to necessarily see straight on, because you can't be looking at it straight on, is that appreciation or awareness of is the player in these scenarios themselves making themselves what we say, making themselves bigger, right? Taking the space. What's the other analogy that's being used right now?
Right. So creating a barrier is such a you're right. That's the vernacular that is so huge right now, and trying defensive handling, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and this is where the referee I think needs to peak up more than not. So because of the impact of what this player has. So when you think about the defenders and someone stepping into this position, one of the first things you have to think of, especially if you know you're not going to have yet a contact in it, is where are all the arms? Are they keeping a barrier for the ball being able to cross across? Basically make an effective cross to the other players in front of the 6-yard in the full mouth of the goal. So these things we wanted to kind of harp on that awareness of that these are not easy plays. This is not an easy play that we're showing you, but this is just awareness of where we talk about that higher level IQ of understanding the game, understanding the scenario, understanding the impact that's going on, and essentially how game critical this decision is.
Yeah, and so I mean, listen, it's so important here, right? From a positioning standpoint, Jair does what you're supposed to do. Move to the left-hand side here. Mm-hmm. He puts his body position so that he is square to goal. He's in the attacking third, and he tries to make as wide of a view as possible. He does an excellent job in there, and Christina makes the point he could do all of that and still not be able to see this good, because as we know, anything on the inside, any cross on the inside, where something happens on the body of the defender closest to the goal line, is so hard for us to see. And do we really want to defer that to an assistant? We can do that on the assistant side of the field and feel comfortable about that. But this is the absolute other side. This call is on the referee, and truly the referee only in practical standpoint, because there's so many people between the AR and here, and to ask them to make a decision on the far side is just not it's not like I said, a practical thing to do. If you can see that, you get the video quality is a bit choppy, but the ball definitely comes off of Harrison's leg.
We actually see it good.
And if we don't, okay, you see it good. And if you don't know, if we don't know as referees that is still handling, or we interpret it incorrectly that just because it hit his body, it comes up in his arm, so that's no longer handling, then that's on us. That's the education portion that we can do off the field. And when we take the field, I mean, Christina, wore the FIFA badge for 7 years. I'm fortunate enough to continue to wear it now. Like, we're looked at as de facto experts of law because of that. I think every referee should be, expert at law, because it's the one thing that we can control. We can study and be as sharp as possible on those things. So when we come here and we can check the boxes, like, it came off his leg, but that's deflection. He still creates a barrier and still gets his, has the impact that he intended to have. That's a penalty. Boom, no questions asked, and we're there. If it goes to Harrison's foot and he deliberately kicks it up into his arm, we know those check boxes too, and we can, obviously make the decision to not call penalty if that's the way the considerations play themselves out.
And one thing I really want to focus on that the ball hitting off of his knee and then reflecting into his hand, right? Because there is some education on that, right? If there's a deflection off of the body part onto his hand, it's not a handling offense. But you can't, and I kind of reemphasize this, take these absolutes, right? So not saying every time it hits somebody's body part and it hits their hand, it's not a handling offense. We have to put these types of plays into perspective, into context, into the situation. So here, kind of one of the things we want to emphasize is that because of the impact, because of the barrier, right, where that may bring something from a handling offense to a non-handling offense, potentially just in the middle of the area where it's just a bad touch where it hits his knee and then hits his hand, right? Here you have to understand, but for it hitting his arm, it would have crossed. It would have gone into an advantageous attacking situation. So there's a couple of other considerations that we need to think here as well. So if you were sitting there thinking just unilaterally that because it hit his knee that it's clearly not a handball, that is not a dispositive factor. That's not that one critical analysis that eliminates all the other factors and considerations. There's other considerations here that are very, very, are much stronger or overbearing to make it a penalty kick decision.
That was an attorney talking, by the way. Don't mind all the big words.
It's handling.
Oh yeah, it's handling. Penalty. Penalty.
Let me pick your brain a little bit, if you allow me. Since the NCAA just adopted the handling handball laws changes, we are going to be dealing with a lot of responsible behavior out there from coaches and dissent from players, especially when you may have a no handball decision in one end of the game, one end of the field, and then the opposite end, the same situation will become a PK, right? How can you give the referee some tips on how to manage that behavior when you make that decision on college games coming up?
I'll just answer one shortly because I sit on the NCAA rules committee as the active referee. So I was in the rooms with the coaches who actually have the voting decision as to whether to determine whether or not giving or changing the laws or the rules, or in college it's the rules. And this is a conversation that came up in there with the coaches as well. One is they want to adopt the rules or take the laws of the game of FIFA and add it to the game of college soccer. And I did raise this where it's probably not the best terminology. Or I think it's the most simple. It's not the most approved terminology when we talk about it in a defender handball versus an attacker handball. Did you say that's the PC way to say it?
Okay.
Okay. So explaining that to the coaches that there could be what could be inferred as two different philosophies or two different interpretations as to handling offense. They saw that, but they also understood that because this law is taking into what the soccer community expects, right? From taking away if the attacker ends up handling or just touching the ball, even if it was non-deliberate, it goes in the back of the net. Soccer community does not want goals based on that, right? So as opposed to the defender where it may have deflected off of the person's hand incidentally, right, and it is not a deliberate, or it's not one of those where it's buried or making themselves bigger, that won't be called a handling offense. There's an adoption to it. It will be a little tough kind of going out when people are going to say, but I think at the end of the day, it ultimately is capturing what we've already been doing on the field at the highest level and what the soccer community truly does inherently believe what's just on these handling offenses. You get something?
Yep. No, great. We're going to have to deal with a lot of emotions out there, especially at the lower level of college games, D3s and junior college, where the level of acceptance is very low. We may get less problems on a D1 level, where the level of acceptance is much higher. But that's something that we're going to have to work on throughout the season. What do you have next?
Yeah, by the way, we're gonna debate over handling until the end of time, no matter what they write in law or rules. So you tell them that.
We're outside right now. Another one.
Yeah.
They would say offsides, right? Usually that's what they say, offside.
Yeah.
You really want to blow out coach's mind, tell them there's 3 different types of offside. That'll really blow their mind.
Of course. Do you want to walk through some?
You can walk through.
Okay. So this is going to be from week 2. Another one of my game series in New York City FC and TFC. It's cold as sin that day. But what we're going to watch here is the ball is going to be put around, and there's going to be a matchup here with Josie and the center back.
So it's like Colin mentioned about the hands by his attacker.
Yeah, true, right? Yeah. Except that there's a clear pull here, and we'll see it on replay.
Although I do like to bring up that IQ, but that coach mentioned, right? There's a common play where the attacker will put their hand into the chest of the defender, right, to play that. So we know that that's a normal accepted, or that's just a normal soccer play, whether it's strategy or not. So that was kind of nice to hear from the coach.
There we go. There's the pull. And we'll show it again. There. And the reason I stopped there as well is that from a referee's perspective, don't forget, like, once again, we watch clips and we watch games, and people make decisions on us by watching clips and watching games. And those cameras, listen, us in the league and internationally have multiple cameras all over the place. A lot of the time, unfortunately, in college, we're getting criticized or otherwise by a single camera sitting on top of a score box at midfield. So I love the fact that we have this right here, because this is the true angle of the referee. This is exactly what I saw at that time. So I'll make the argument right now that as a referee, you look at this, excuse me, and it looks like a simple foul, right? It's just it's a foul committed by Sands. Josie can't get to the ball. I'm looking at, I probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 players in my peripheral, and it's just a simple foul. Except it's not, because we know what Sands is doing, and I'll back it up here and show you another screenshot at the time of the foul. That's just about when the foul happens. So now, without context, and you look at this angle, man, you show this to anybody just without any other context, you're like, that could be a red card. This could be a denying of an obvious scoring opportunity. So how in the world do we go from a simple foul to what, in one angle, at a still shot, and we don't referee by still shots, do not make decisions by still shots. I beg of you on all of that. But we have a possibility of denying, because look, there's space behind the center back. Josie turns and he goes, and it's just him and the goalkeeper, and he checks the boxes for the 4 Ds that we know, to get the dog. So let me go back to this again, or you want to speak to this?
I want to pop in, because we've been talking a lot about the referee IQ, and for me, referee is always the assistant referee as well. But sometimes I can get lost, and I don't want it to get lost. So here, yes, the referee has a great angle to see the foul itself and has one piece of the puzzle. This is something where the assistant referee should be proactive as well, in the sense of maybe not necessarily raising their flag. That's a pretty far away to raise your flag, but to be able to provide that other piece of the puzzle, that other piece of information. So Ted was talking about, does this fall into a dog so denying, right? And who can give him that other information with regard to the other defender on the other half here, to let him know essentially, was there another defender on that line who could have impacted that play that would have negated offside. And as an assistant referee, in the college game, we are getting more and more comm systems. More people are having them, more schools are starting to provide them. That's an easy thing that as an assistant referee, we talk about a higher level of soccer IQs, as that AR, giving that referee that information ASAP, saying like, there's another defender, right? Like, to help that referee come to that decision that this is not yet dog so. Although close, not yet dog so. So want to emphasize the teamwork there, right? If you don't have comm systems, you have a buzzer system, right? In pregame, talk that out with your referees, in the sense of, if I have some quick info to give you without distracting you from making a game critical decision when everyone's staring at the ref, like, how do you want me to communicate that? Or do you want me to hold until you look at me? So be aware that with the higher level soccer IQs, also from the AR on display, and having that communication prior to games, as to even you can break down a situation like this so that you all know you're on the same page, or you're giving each other the right information at the right time.
So the good thing here too is, we'll go back again. The reason this isn't DOGSO and is a yellow card for stopping a promising attack, if you look at Josie, his back is to goal. So for him to take this, he'd have to take it and turn it and then go. There's a defender on the left-hand side that could get there before his momentum goes. There's enough doubt there, and we don't check all the boxes for a D that we can get to yellow card. But notice when I put it up, because I'm exactly how I explained it. When this first goes, it feels like a simple foul. And then you're like, wait, that's the center back. That's the center forward. I'm walking. We've made this foul determination. And then here, I can call Sands over. I've put the pieces together. The yellow card's coming out, and we've issued it. So once again, like when we feel like we don't have time on the field, we have plenty of time. It's amazing how much 7-8 seconds, actually gives us there, and use that time. Use it to your advantage. Because I'll tell you that in this situation, I'm processing after I've made the decision that there's a foul. I'm blowing. Is there anything else that's here? Oh yes. Wait, there's a center back. Oh wait, Jersey could have turned this. Oh, there's a defender on that side. This is yellow card and yellow card only. And they're setting up to take the wall. I haven't taken any of the time away from the game. I know that's really important in the college game when we don't stop the clock and the clock continues to go. And, God willing, that changes in sometime in the future where you can keep the time on the field. Take the surveys and I hope the coaches, vote the same way. But just this, right? That the communication piece, the taking your time piece, and truly, seeing the entire world, just like in that very first clip, to use all those check boxes and make the correct decision in the end.
Definitely. And at the college, just to add something to that, in the college game, we do stop the clock if you do have a misconduct. So, and you can use that time to get more information and relate that information to players and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Christina, just one quick thing. If you can get closer to the mic, it was going on and off, if you don't mind. And there was a lady there who was like, oh, we'd like to see more of Christina if possible.
Well, then I'll stop talking. I'll start talking.
I'm not going to mention the lady's name because I don't want to put her on the spot.
It's okay, Richard. Hey, I appreciate you having me. Thanks. I'm out.
Listen. Oh boy. We have a
okay. On that. Well, listen. On that note, then we'll let Christina take clip number 5 here. Yep. No. Here we go. You've been requested. Hold on. Here we go.
It's okay. She can do the talking, and you can give us the technical aspect of the play.
So this one is we didn't have a long season to begin with.
Yeah, I know, right?
But this is kind of one of my, this is just a fun one. And you'll see here, and hopefully on replay, there's a little bit kind of glitchy here, but we got a clearance coming out. Sorry, I love this play. So this is Nashville, the newest team in the league. Their home opening game. It's packed as all pack can get for this match. And we got this play here where, as you can notice, just in case anyone can't realize, the guy in pink is the goalkeeper. It's probably not pink, it's probably a 15 show, but I'm going to call it pink. But here's the biggest kind of key point, if you can play that back from the beginning, kind of break that down, is effectively we got a clearance from the defense coming this way, right? Every referee, simple. If you got some people streaking, you just need to start sprinting. Here, the key recognition is that Drew Fisher, FIFA referee from Canada, recognizes that this could be a little bit more than just that, right? So instead of stopping his run where others may have stopped their run, which let me break that down real quick for you. All right, just get on your horse. Even if you can't make the proximity because of the clearance, just a little fun trick, is get an angle, right? We talk about proximity versus angle all the time. Proximity is something you can always make up. You can always blow the whistle and keep running, and everyone thinks you were there when you blew the whistle. As opposed to an angle, you can never recreate your angle. So make sure if you can't get that proximity that you're always fighting for that angle to be able to see that play. But as the play continues to keep going on, Drew Fisher, others may have to stop and say, hey, this is the play right here, but he recognizes that there is other players that are moving up with this. So right here. So you see he continues to make that forward run, which helps him because one or two things can happen here. And I don't think he was expecting this one to happen where there's actually handling offense by the goalkeeper. But the other one is something that you necessarily want to be in motion for when it occurs. And that's chipping the ball over the goalkeeper's head and potentially going into the back of the net, right? There's quite a number of things I'll let Ted break down the factors, the considerations as to why this isn't a red card. I know it was pretty sensational. I know some of my friends in the TV world couldn't get their minds around why this was only a yellow as opposed to a red card. But, when we break down those NISOA considerations, now I can use that word, that's pretty cool. Thanks, Richard, I didn't know that. We can break down as to why this is only yellow as opposed to a red. So, Ted, what are the considerations you got as to why not?
Yeah, I mean, first, let me go back to the fact that, a point that was made earlier on that stuff. If you see a goalkeeper that was 25 yards out in his game and is almost 55 yards out in this game, like your level of awareness needs to be through the roof, absolutely through the roof. If you've noticed the time of the game here, we're playing 4 minutes of stoppage time, and we're in that 4th minute, and we all of a sudden have to make a decision, which is the proverbial: what happens when a squirrel runs on the field and knocks a ball that may be going into a goal kind of thing, and do it with the adrenaline and the high heart rate and everything that's along with it. The awareness by Drew is not only on the sprint and knowing that the goalkeeper's out, but I'll push us forward a little bit. If you look on the very left-hand side of the screen, that's Annabelle Godoy, who's obviously a defender for Nashville, and he keeps on going. So, listen, there's no denying goal scoring opportunity here. That's already taken away. That's not even by definition. So we're down to is it denying a goal, and now we have to decide if a professional player from 55, 60 yards out is in essence putting this ball on frame, and the ball will most definitely go in the net if it wasn't for the handling. And it's amazing that this got absolutely so much press that I'm going to bring up I'm going to show you a power or a quick PDF here that a company, I think MLS and both Pro had a company do an analysis of this. And one of the big screenshots here is you can see Godoy being circled. He has gone back to the goal mouth. However, he's not there. And then this wasn't in intent to read, but to know that there's like 15 points of data here that go all the way down to the ball traveled 6.45 meters, ignoring change in height. Godoy is 25.97 meters to goal center at Willis's contact. There's a constant speed. The ball will reach the goal line in 2.28 seconds. Godoy in 3.63 seconds, and so on and so forth. That it was so granular in analysis that they were trying to get to. Basically, we don't know if he would have got there or not, and he may have, and he may have not, and the ball may have gone in, and it may have not. And those mays and those may nots all lead to yellow card being the correct decision, no matter how many people on TV and what those percentages were that said, you know what, this is a red card. I don't see how it could not be a red card. But from a referee standpoint, man, so impressive by Drew to get on his horse and to recognize that the defender had gotten back. So impressive by Drew to change his run to get in the best angle here. And same thing, keep his composure when Atlanta's putting so much pressure on him to make a different decision and come out with the correct one with the facts that he had in hand. When your heart rate, which you obviously don't know what it is on a field during a game, but we all train. And when we train, we look down and we go, oh man, my heart rate's at 165 or I'm at 175. Yeah, it pretty much is there, at this point too, or higher. and making decisions under pressure is difficult. It's the most difficult part of our job, but we must do it. That's the kind of the what do you call it, that's part of the work, whatever. I kind of stumbled on the vocabulary there, but there's these moments here that Drew does really well, and that's what I really wanted to highlight out of this clip.
No, most definitely, and look at the time of the game too.
Looking at the time of the game.
Yeah, it's the very last minute.
We in the stoppage time, so yeah, we in the stoppage time. In the college games, this is when everything goes down to the toilet, right? When you make the wrong decision here.
Right.
Perfect. And as I say, Richard, that's kind of the big, we always call it the elephant in the room. Our trustee is sitting on those calls or in those meetings with the rules committee, where we all know those last 10 minutes of the college game are some of the hardest to manage because of the clock, because of heightened awareness, because as you heard the coach earlier, I think it was Marc said it, where like these games, even though it may just be a regular season game for us as referees, we're just going in and doing a game, this is a determination as to whether or not they have a 50% winning percentage on their season. So it may be nothing to us, but to them it's determination of whether they lose their job or not. So that's why there's always this heightened awareness in these last 10 minutes, because you can feel this intensity. So, we always say it's you're obviously training and obviously trying to perform for every single minute of the game, but you definitely, want to get this, which I was mentioning on that heart rate, that ability to be able to still be on point when we're talking about this time in the game or at the end of the game, especially in the college game where physically you're fatigued, one would argue, mentally you're fatigued by the team, but then you also have to add this other layer of being confident and probably a little bit, I would say, a hostile situation, but more of a tense situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. And college referees do referee more often than pro referees, right? At your level, you take a couple of days off. You referee once or maybe twice a week. Well, during the college season, college referees have the tendency to referee 7 days a week, 5 days of college, 6 days of college, and then Sunday they do the 4 or 5 USSF games, and sometimes they even do high school games. I know guys, they think they're doing something great by telling everybody, oh, this season I ref 80 games. And, that's kind of crazy. So the point here is in a college game, you got to treat every game as a World Cup final. And sometimes you may not be in the right place. And you need to rely on your AR. And in this case, the AR would have give you pretty much everything you need if you weren't there where you're supposed to be. I don't know if you want to move it back a little bit, but the AR has everything there, all the information you need. Right there.
Yeah, I see him at the top of the screen right there.
If you play a little bit, that AR can give you pretty much everything you need if you're not there, which in this case, he didn't need it because he was there, but yeah. No, it's great. It's great. It's great. Do you have any more clips, or this was it?
No, that was it. That was it.
That was it. Can we take some questions? You ready for some questions?
Of course. Yeah, sure.
Great. Let's start bringing in.
Christina can take some questions.
Oh, there you go. All right, let's open up some mics here. Let's get Logan. Let's see if we can get Logan in. I don't even know if his mic is working. Logan, is your mic working?
Yes, it is.
All right, full name and where you're calling from and your question.
Hello, my name is Logan Alger. I am a Minnesota referee calling from Grayling, Michigan today.
Hey, okay.
And I'm very happy to be here with you all again. It's an honor to be here with the uncles and everybody else. My question is, what are some recommendations in your experience for ways to improve our referee IQ on our own time, especially in this day and age where we have a little bit more free time than usual?
Yeah, please, you can take it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hear all the time, right? Watch soccer games, and it's true. But don't watch the game for the game itself. I cringe now because I can't watch a game, any sporting event, even sports. I don't really know what the rules or the laws are, and I always end up watching the referees, watching their movements, watching how they're anticipating play, watching their body language and how is it that they might deal with the situation that differently than I do. So, I mean, that's kind of a canned answer in the sense of watching more games to be able to kind of get that determination. But the second recommendation, Ted, and the last, is actually playing that FIFA video game for PlayStation or whatnot. Because now you're playing as a coach, as a player, as putting them all into positions and thinking of strategy and skill and technique. Don't watch the referee on the FIFA games. They're always going all over the place. But at the end of the day, really how to become get that IQ in the sense of feeling the game, anticipating the game, being there where you need to be, knowing what's going to happen in the second, the third phase of play, is understanding the game and the players that you're refereeing at that point. So I kind of joke and don't joke because I know that FIFA game is actually kind of really helpful because then you kind of start anticipating technique and play and strategy, and then you can now start applying that to your game in the sense of, all right, perfect. Like in this scenario, I'm going to have my person, set up on the goalkeeper here and try things out. One thing I kind of recommend, and I do all the time, just because it's very effective and it's very, very simple, is just to kind of give a little bit of tidbit on like these little things, is try things out. It's probably very scary, and I tell coaches all the time because it freaks them out and I think it's fun, is telling them that our time on their game is where we're actually practicing, because we don't have that ability, to your point, to be able to practice in a practice scenario. Even when we have events or with a pro or FIFA and we have teams come in and we train with those teams, it's still not the same thing as the real thing. So it sounds kind of a little bit crazy, but continue to try to plug away during your games at the things that do and do not work. So for example, try in your next game, if you don't already, when you have that corner kick and you have that attacker that's stepping on the heels of the goalkeeper or bumping into them, right? Instead of yelling at the attacker, say, knock it off. Tell the keeper, hey, keep, I got you, I'm watching, I got you, keep, right? Because it's telling two different messages. One is telling the goalkeeper, I got you, so please don't, put a hand anywhere necessarily, right? It tells the defenders that you're taking care of their goalkeeper, which is their number one angst, and then that saves that other defender from going in and shoving the attacker. And it's also telling that attacker, I'm being watched, so maybe I shouldn't commit a foul. So those are little tips and tricks in the sense of getting those referee IQs. Think of scenarios that have worked for you, and think of scenarios that haven't worked for you, and why have they not worked for you, and can you try them again in a different situation? And that's like the FIFA video game thing, but that's just me. Okay?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you guys have heard, but the EPL and La Liga are going to use the fan noise from FIFA video game to pump into their stadiums. It's that, I guess it's that realistic. But no, I think I've always said there's no substitution for experience, right? This was game one of the 2020 MLS season, and you saw a goalkeeper at midfield. Like, how do you prepare for that? I mean, when you think you've gotten this thing figured out, something will present you with something different. And that's always the challenge. Maybe that's the excitement of why we continue to do what we do. But watching games, if you can watch your own games, that's huge. Christina will be the first to tell you that when I started, if I wasn't running at full speed, I would look like a T-Rex. And I wouldn't have known that unless I actually watched it myself. Because people don't lie to you, right? I mean, whatever. But
there's been a couple games that get there enough courage to tell them that.
But listen, the conversation I think we all should have a trusted group of people that I bounce stuff off, and there is just a honest conversation that goes on that I know that I can reach out to them immediately and get feedback. And I wanted, we'll do it. I found a clip today. Ronaldo missed a penalty. It was on ESPN FC. Missed the penalty, goes up, and then some guy karate kicks some guy in the face. That got shared really quickly within our trusted group. And why did the fourth official have to give information there? where other people would be like, hey, Ronaldo missed a penalty. I don't care. I want to know why the referee needed information from the fourth official in that standpoint. And we kind of talked through it real quick, and then boom, we moved on with our lives. But there's a WhatsApp group or text, and I'd recommend everybody have that. Everybody have their trusted sounding boards.
Thank you.
All right, great.
That's awesome information.
No, thank you for listening. Thank you for following us all these weeks. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's see if we can get Andrew Kennedy in. Let's see if we can get Andrew here. Andrew, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Good,
Beautiful Friday.
Thank you guys for doing this. I'm from Rochester, New York, and actually, Christina, I think we met last November up with Amanda and Katie.
Yeah, I remember there was Effie, right? So yeah, definitely.
So thank you for doing this raffle for the deadlift effort. I remember you talking a little bit about it, but I was doing some looking up on the internet when you were talking about it earlier, and I couldn't find a website. I did find the Facebook group, but I was wondering, for those who don't get it, is there a way that we can get that?
www.deadlifteffect.com. So THEDEAAB lifteffect.com. So it's like an actual deadlift, like when you're in the gym.
You still sharing the desktop if you want to share the website there while you answering the questions and put up the website.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that.
Because I'm figuring there are going to be a lot of referees that want that aren't going to win.
Yeah. So in kind of a quick nutshell, essentially why the deadlift effect kind of came out is we do a lot of mentoring at US Southern Regionals, and kind of one of this is, I'm not the one creating the programs because I stay in my lane. If I'm not an expert, I don't profess it. So you're only as good as the 5 people you surround yourself with. So in every different area of my life, one of my biggest struggles coming back from having our little one was I kept tearing calf muscles, hamstrings, and all of these other issues. And then the sprint time got reduced and all this fun jazz. But even though I played collegiate soccer, the place I played at, they didn't really emphasize strength training. So it was one of those pieces of the puzzle in my life that was significantly missing. So kind of my little journey, my path, I realized many other people also didn't have access to things that Liz Lowe always says we own another gym called Sports Fitness, and I have an actual brick and mortar here and there. So she always says, you just want to show up sometimes and turn your brain off when you train and just have it told what you need to do and know that it's going to work for you. So effectively, this is kind of what it is. So hopefully you can see it there. And like I said, the programs will go live. And for those, it's not up yet, but it's going to be for those that we understand, obviously still do not have access to a gym. Because these programs were developed back in the day where you actually would need to have a gym membership as well. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be investing in yourself as a referee, you need to, trust me, I pay way too much money, thousands of dollars for trainers and facilities and equipment, is effectively figuring out how you can get strong. And you obviously need an actual gym for it. But we're also developing at-home programs with the understanding that obviously, as someone mentioned earlier, throughout the country, right, some people are reopening and others, unfortunately, cannot at this moment. So there will be a stay-at-home training program that's also focused on dynamic strength movements as well as agility and speed that you need for the game that we referee.
Awesome. Thank you guys for doing this, and stay safe. Oh, and also I'm hoping for the FIFA video game background music for the MLS's back tournament.
We'll see what Orlando brings.
My little 4-year-old to Orlando and FIFA or something like that.
Enjoy Florida.
All right, great. Thank you, Andrea. Christina, just a quick reminder, if you can get closer to the computer, sometimes your voice goes in and out, and I've been getting complaints. Mostly ladies.
Okay.
Sorry. Let's bring somebody else in. Wendell, did we have him here? Hello,
Hi.
hello. How are you? Full name and where you calling from, and your question for the uncles.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, NISOA and Uncles for putting this together, and Uncles for your time and expertise. Very much appreciated. My name is Wendell Ashby from Utah. My question for both of you, having delved through the ranks of USSF soccer and dabbled in NISOA and college soccer, there are a lot of people on the call that are getting older in age. I'll admit myself as one of them. As we get into that older age, but still want to excel and thrive into officiating at higher levels, what suggestions do you have for officiating both in higher levels of USSF and NISOA? What suggestions do you have?
First thing is the beauty about getting older and refereeing is you have a lot more experience. So when we talk about those things we're practicing and everyone's like, well, how do I do this? And I'm like, well, there's a reason why EPL referees aren't all young. Right? Some of the senior ones who are doing these matches are much quote unquote older, right? They're not 20-year-olds. So definitely don't take that age thing away from you. I know there's a lot of kind of mentality that they're looking only at ages, certain ages between that. And I mean, and that might be the case, but at the end of the day, define what success means for you and where you want to go for yourself. And I kind of get excited with an older referee who's been refereeing for a long time because then I know that they have the experience. So then we get a little fine tuning as to how do we continue to train so that we can keep to a certain level so that you're always delivering a performance that's necessary for that match. But also, importantly, what are the one or two tricks where, we joke when we get older that we can referee that game from the center circle. Don't do that. But, right, you get closer to that than the younger referee who steps in and everyone's like, person's green as all can be. So kind of a little bit tidbit is just knowing your body and kind of who you are. And like I said, it differs for others, right? Some people are able to sprint and beat youngins, like Ted will sprint the youngins at 42. Right? Whereas like people like me who's 33 and I'm struggling with the sprint. So it's really getting to know your body. I love the sports science behind my body in the sense of what helps me on a performance level from nutrition, what helps me on a performance level from injuries, overtraining, what's proper for me, right, might not be proper for Ted and vice versa. So definitely start, it's kind of a fascinating thing, but definitely start to learn more about yourself and how you perform for these games and what you really can take. I know Richard mentioned some people referee 7 games a week. That's crazy even when you were young. So understanding when you can give the best quality that you possibly can for that match. I think I know there was a second kind of a question too in the sense of how you rise, but I'll let Ted address kind of that first part. He has more.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I'm 42 and probably in some of the best shape of my life, and I kind of attest that to our sports science program. Because I wasn't that educated coming into, kind of what was needed for me to excel on game day. And like, I can't wrap my head around going back and doing 2 games a day or even going back-to-back days. Heck, we have a CBA in place that is negotiated time that between match appointments for that very reason. So we get the proper rest. And we have to be smarter about that, right? Like I joke that I wake up in the morning. It used to be when I was young, man, you could be banged up one day, you wake up the next day and everything's good again. But to give you an example of right now in our off season, I don't know what you would call this before we come back, so Monday is a training day. So Monday for me would be a sprint training day. Tuesday is a strength training day. Wednesday is an active recovery day. So something a little lighter, but something active. Yesterday was a pretty hard run. Today was a pretty hard run. But tomorrow is a non-active recovery day, and Sunday is a rest day. So if you want to look at that from a grand scheme of things, there's 3 days in there that are kind of scheduled to be recovery. And without those, I wouldn't be able to referee at the high level, be ready at that moment. We have a 34-game season that we have to be ready for. And that's a grind. It's an absolute grind to be on planes and hotels and stadiums and back and do it all again. And then you have my international appointments that fall in between. So on off weekends, most people have off. That's an international weekend. I'm usually working somewhere. Then in between we have camps, and that wears on the body too. So I will say that rest and recovery are so important for longevity. And that's part of training, but we have to train smart.
And rest and recovery is that kind of that key component that, I mean, I'm not technically that quote unquote old. I'm an old soul deep down inside, but is where even when I was at college soccer, we were being trained to. It wasn't a good workout unless you were dead and you can't physically move the next day. That's not good sports science. It's not proven to be able to allow you to repeat and deliver and continue to perform at a peak level almost on an everyday basis. So it took a lot for me mentally, and that may be for some of the trained in the old school way of if you're not dead, it's not a good training, is that you don't have to be dead to have a great workout, right? There'd be times I'd be like, okay, like I ran that as fast as I could, but I think I could have gotten 2 more sets in. It's like, okay, but then I need the time to be able to recover. That's probably the biggest key for us, to be able to come back the next day to continue to train at that higher level to continue to perform. So that's key. Rest and recovery, the older we get, the more we need, and that's not a bad thing. But there's a second part of that question in the sense of how do we continue to rise essentially through the ranks or continue to officiate at the higher levels, whether it's collegiate or U.S. soccer and all that stuff. And so there is one thing that's just candidly true that can't be denied, is that we have such a decreasing number of officials in this game. This is, I think, one of the least amount of officials we've ever had, at least in U.S. soccer. And I know college soccer, the numbers have been kind of waning as well. And there's so much games where the number of U.S. soccer officials go down, the number of games and teams continue to rise and increase. Not saying that means everyone's going to, rise and be given these games, but at the end of the day, performing on the field can't be ignored. It really, really can't. There's going to be a time in the day where there's just too many games that need competent officials on it, that regardless of age, and I think that age stigma is starting to go away. Slowly but surely it's starting to go away, that if you're able to perform, I don't care if you're 80 years old or if you're 15 or 20 years old, if you can perform and you can deliver a service that satisfies that match, that's really what should be looked at. And at the end of the day, even if you are aspiring to reach, and right, we all know there's a bunch of other stuff that goes into that in the sense of a nice way to say whatever their agenda is, you know that you've left everything on that field and you performed, and that you are proud of the work that you have left on that field, and you can be confident with that and know that at the end of the day, you've delivered the best that you can, and that's all you can really control, is your fitness and your referee IQ and being able to deliver.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for following us for 11 weeks. Hope to see you next week for the final one. All right, and let me add a couple more things to that, especially in the college, to keep moving up the ladder on college, the college ranks. Consistency, availability, and being open to criticism. That's going to get you very far in the college ranks, on top of everything that was said. Do you have time for a couple more questions? I got so many questions.
Yeah, of course.
You sure?
No, go ahead.
We're only 25 minutes past our bedtime, but it's okay. Let's keep on going. Let's open the mic for David Nunes. Let's get David here. David, where are you calling from, and your question for Christina and Ted? Uncle.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, very good. From San Diego, California, just moved in. Anyway, just a couple questions real quick. The first one is for Christina. How do we get, in contact with you guys about the program? I have some questions about that. The website, I didn't find any form or kind of email. I mean, briefly, I looked. I mean, maybe dig in a little bit more, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the email address is info@thedeadlifteffect.com. You can also download that free baseline strength testing, and that should automatically give us your email as well, too. But info@thedeadlifteffect.com works. And then I'll talk to Richard about, just kind of flapping a little bit of the information if he's okay with it, more or less. I was like, all right, I want to put him on the spot right now.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can shoot an email to that, and then we'll definitely get in contact.
All right, sounds good. And my second question is for any of you two. I think it was the clip number 4 where you called the foul on the pull and out the door, pointed, and from the angle you had a perfect angle. And of course, part of the stadium and even the bench, they really didn't have much of an angle that pull. It would be okay, or is it a good or bad thing to gesticulate what actually you saw it? There's a pull, a hand. I've seen some referees, any different levels doing it. Some don't. Is that you should not, depends? What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because listen, if there's I've never been shy to inject my personality into games, right? From penalty or it's not like that, but from a penalty or making it clear. I think it comes into, in the moment you want to broadcast it. Like, I don't want anybody looking at a decision that I make and have a question about it. So in that Altador situation, I think that everybody knows that a pulls occurred. It's the only reason he really goes down. It wouldn't actually trip there, whatever the case may be, right? At the same time, in the same breath, if there's a penalty decided by handling, I'm the first guy that I put my hand up, and tap it. We've gone. I think at one point in time there was, there's this. It's in the back of the law book, right? Where if you had a foul going this way, it's like this, and if you're an AR, then you point the flag at this 45-degree angle, and so on. Listen, like the best ARs we have, the Frank, the Ian Andersons, Corey Rockwell's, there's a few more in there that are just excellent. They all do have their own little quirks. I mean, even Corey is known to do this power squat, and he runs through corner flags and like all this stuff. I can't even imagine if Corey was coming up, as a youth referee right now, and like either getting blasted by some assessor that said, "Oh, you'll never make it doing this stuff," and that's like, it's laughable. The guy went to the World Cup, for crying out loud. So I'd say that tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I think it's so important for the broadcast to broadcast our decisions. And if a little bit of more information you feel is needed, it's okay. We're not the show out there. We don't need to be the show. The focus is not on us, but we do orchestrate this beautiful game. We do it over the course of the time we're out there. Just like you're trying to get a message across with the yellow card, hey, I want to change behavior here. Same thing, like we got a persistent infringement, that somebody's committing the same foul. It's the 1, 2, 3. That makes that clear. If it's somebody committing fouls against, this person here, stop it, get your attention, boom, hey, this guy, we leave him alone. I'm perfectly okay with that, and I think it's accepted and welcomed in the right moment.
All right, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Daniel. We're going to bring in George Cortez, and just to emphasize on that point, in the college game, especially in the PK that was called on the second video, the one we weren't able to see, where it's just between the two players involved on the challenge and the referee and no one else. I think that will be a perfect moment to actually make it public, make the decision public, and kind of show what you did. Sort of like, if you guys remember back in, what was this, 98? Remember when we had SC a couple of weeks back, that famous call, that no weight call, that seal call, that pulling, where he actually showed it multiple times, right? Something like that sometimes it does help, especially in the college game. Not all the time, but at the right time, at the right moment, it has its benefits. George, can you hear me, George?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great. You have a family question. It's going to be a good one, guys.
Hello to the Unkel FIFA couple. Thank you very much for this great presentation that you have. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from the Angelo Divo, the president of Viggiano group. This is good to see the new generation going forward and putting the country way ahead in the way we referee in this country. My question to you as a couple, we usually, among referees, we even have different opinions on some of the decisions we made on a game. You as a couple, and I'm sure that when you get home after each one of your games, you kind of talk about it. I'm sure you get to talk about a game. Have you come to a point of points that you disagree among yourselves on the decision you made, and you should have been doing this? And how would you conclude that? And what techniques are actually using to convince the other person, because that will serve us other referees in here how to actually you determine, okay, this was the right decision because of this or that. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. We have a week that we're going to share happily together, or we were intending to anyway. So.
Well, just for me, for survival, I don't tell him whether I agree or disagree on anything. I wait for him to bring a scenario up to me. So that's how I make sure that I don't overstep my boundaries in the sense, or I offend or whatnot. Like, if I don't agree with something he did, I keep my mouth shut. If he raises up the scenario, I listen. I try to get his analysis, his perspective. I ask more questions. And then I go into my opinion, my side. That's how I break it down for myself, because I know that if we're going to have a conversation, and we don't really sit there and talk about every time of game, right? No. Anything you can poke out, it might be just a weird play, or hey, this is how I felt. Like, can you take a quick look at this play? What would you have done? Or, do you have any recommendations or suggestions? So sometimes I'll come home from the weekend and we don't even talk about my game because there was just nothing essential that, I could pick his brain that I couldn't figure out on my own by reviewing the play. But I think, and that's kind of probably important for everyone, is that when you're doing the same thing with when you're reviewing a clip with a friend, or a call that somebody made, is you get their perspective, their opinion. And I wasn't at the game, but I think one of the clear things for me as a VAR Major League Soccer, and having had that experience out of the gate, is that what you feel in the booth or watching from a distance isn't the same as what you feel in the game and what the game needs and what the game's demanding and the atmosphere then in this. So that's why I usually listen first before I give my opinion, or I hold my opinion until it's asked for. But that's how I deal with it. I know that sounds really cheesy, but I like to not sleep on the couch.
How about you, Ted?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I think. Yeah, right at the door. We have a whiteboard. I just write them down. No, seriously. We don't talk. I think people would be surprised that we don't talk soccer as much as people may think. In fact, it's probably on the very smaller side of things. The huge benefit, though, George, is when in doing things like this, it's so amazing having somebody like right here that you trust with your life, about being able to, like, hey, how can we get back and instruct in this way? And Christina says she's on the rules committee for NISOA. I'm on a few things in terms of clip review within the NISOA community during the seasons, to give opinions on clips and how that ends up getting in protests and so on and so forth, red cards. Being in the youth side where we go to Region 3, or whatever way we were able to impact, right? Now we have double the amount of experiences, and we can take those. So listen, we're not perfect by any means. Pull up social media; they'll gladly tell you that we are not perfect. But they don't like me, but whatever. But no, I think the analysis is good, and even if there's times where it's tough to be have some humility, ultimately you need to, you absolutely need to, and you have to be introspective about what actually has, and then absolutely realize that there's another game to be had, and for if you come to a decision, listen, you blew a decision on a Saturday night, and we have a week to think about it. People at referee may have a day to think about it. You have to figure out a way to reconcile that real quick, and change and adjust and go there. So I know that probably wasn't as salacious an answer as it could have been, but hopefully it gives you some insight.
But would you agree that game analysis is the best way to either convince yourself or anybody else? Game analysis after you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can get overloaded, right? And may not have time. So especially if you turn around and you got another game tomorrow or a game the next day, or it's really quick in there. Like our process feels tight, and we are game Saturday, debrief on a Monday, KMI decisions come out on Thursday, and then assessments on Friday, and we're on another plane, and that feels crazy tight. So somewhere in there, you need to find stuff that either was pointed out to you or you've pointed out to yourself, and go back and review it and figure out, what, I had the right angle there and that's the right decision. Awesome. Let's do that again. Or, I could have done that one a little bit better. Or, what, that probably wasn't the right decision. So how can I do that better on the weekend coming up or whatever that is? By all means, watching video, especially of yourself, is one of the best educational opportunities you can do.
Game analysis for me is the most critical thing, and I actually kind of hate it because my game analysis time I spend is sometimes 2 times longer than the actual game is. So I know it's going to be longer than if I just refereed the match. But it's so critical to 2 things: is one, not think that every call you made is correct and beautiful and awesome. Plenty of those referees who watch their games and they think they had a great game, and you're like, oh. But then also not to punish yourself or criticize yourself too much, right? You're like, that was bad, that was bad. Mm-hmm. Literally, when you're doing a game analysis, you're breaking it down as if you're looking at it like as a neutral standby person. Like, here's the positives, here's the negatives. Like, that situation didn't work out. Great. Why didn't that situation work out? Where's my positioning? How could I have anticipated that? How could I move somewhere else? So that you take those moments and you're able to apply them to the next. So game analysis is the most important thing, but also being really fair and true to yourself. And sometimes you don't want too much feedback from too many people because it does everyone has an opinion and
right.
an interpretation and or
right.
A different style that may not be your style. So find those 1 or 2 people that you can bounce a quick idea off. And like I tell people sometimes, if you don't have the ability to watch yourself on a videotape, which you don't for a lot of college games, right? You don't get a videotape. Is with that crew, even if you don't know the individuals, you're not necessarily confident about their information sometimes, is you break down the situation that you really need to be spoken about at that point. And I say, you guide that conversation in the sense that, hey guys, in the 78th minute, there was a penalty kick situation that happened. This player was standing here, this player was here, this player was grabbing here. This is what I saw, and this is why I called it. What did you see? So you start trying to get information out of them instead of opinions. You start trying to get facts so you can rebuild that situation and kind of go your way. Instead of getting someone's opinion, subjective opinion, try to get the facts out of them after the game.
Great.
Yeah, that was great, George. Thank you for the question. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for the fun.
Thank you, George. All right, we have one more. Someone said something about a northeast tie behind you. Is there a northeast tie behind you? I don't know what they're talking about.
Northeast tie?
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Let's bring him in.
No northeast.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. Let's bring him in. Let's see if we can bring him in. While I'm looking for that referee, let me get someone who you guys know. Maybe you don't know him. I'm sure you do. You self-muted. Chip, you're self-muted. You want to talk? Go ahead. Open up your mic and talk.
I see Chip Reed's question here. Go for it, though.
Chip, come on, man. Open it up. Don't be afraid.
Man,
I think he's having problems.
That's okay. He wrote his question in, so you want to
go ahead?
I'll repeat it again just for those. Oh, I'm Rich. I'm muted.
Probably for the better, Chip. Kidding.
So that's how you know you don't say something that you're not supposed to say. No, for the younger referees, what is the triggers that tell you what to say, when to say it, how to say something? I think for the younger referees, and this is the beauty of officiating, at least in my perspective, is I started officiating when I was 10 years old. It taught me a lot about myself. So for the younger referees, it's like this. This is very philosophical, but I'm a kind of philosophical person. It lets you discover who you are. What kind of a personality are you? I love to joke around. I'm a big joker. It sounds weird. I don't really take a lot of things seriously. Like, I take them seriously, but I joke when I'm taking them seriously. So it's identifying your personality and being true to it. So I step into a field and I can joke with basically everyone, and I chat up a storm with a lot of people. It's worked for me. I have that personality. I'm able to, joke with coaches and joke with players, especially at the higher levels, and maybe more because I've been around forever and they know me. But then there's other FIFAs at the same level who didn't like to talk to the coaches or to the players. It was just very professional. Hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And that just wasn't their game. So it's really identifying who you are as a person, because when you step on the field, if you don't put a different mask, if you aren't able to put a different mask on in the sense of a different personality type, that's perfectly fine. Just figure out who you are and how you referee based on those personality skills. Because if you try to be somebody else, it's going to come off really weird in the first place and very unauthentic. So that for me is kind of one of those first things of figuring out how to say it, when to say it, and how to say something. I got some more, but Ted, you want to go on that?
Well, just showing a photo of you being a jokester, like never serious on the field or anything like that.
It is not.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, there it is.
There it is. But hey, whatever. That's cool. I'm sure you're.
I love it, because I think I was yelling at the Venezuelan coach, and he's a bit crazy, but him and I actually turned out to be really good friends with that FIFA tournament. He was a bit crazy, but I told him he was crazy in Spanish, and then he thought it was cool. So, I mean, that's probably not the best thing to come from somebody, that they're crazy in Spanish in their own language, but it worked for me, and I knew it was going to work for me because of his personality type as well. But it's just to really, really knowing who you are, and as a younger referee, you are going to screw up a lot. You're going to hit your toe quite a bit. It's not going to feel great. But instead of sitting there and saying, woe is me, and that didn't work out, and my assessment score is lower, or someone thinks less of me, like, forget all of that. I call them catch and release moments. Like, why did that situation blow up in my face, and what could I have done better? And hey, you know what? It worked before. Why didn't it work now? Well, figure out what the difference was before in that first situation that's different in that second situation. And just know that you're always going to be, whether you're a younger referee or an older referee, this is always going to be a skill and a talent of kind of what I like to say is, how do I get all 22 players on the field and the coaches, the subs, and the spectators to do what I want them to do without them realizing I got them to do what I wanted them to do. So it's a whole mind psychoanalysis kind of a thing. So I like it like that. But that's kind of some of my points.
Yeah, I mean, Christina said a lot of good stuff there. So I'll be a little bit quicker, but it's all trial and error. There's no absolutes. Like, they say don't use humor. Come on. There's times where humor really works. Compliments in certain areas really work. Guy rips an amazing shot up for 90. I'm going to find a way to tell him. I'm retreating up the field before we kick off.
Or no one else hears.
Yeah, nobody else hears. Mm-hmm. And you go by and like, man, hey, that was excellent, man. And little stuff like that just, it shows you that, like, it shows them that you're a human. You're not just like this robotic, referee out there just going through the motions, or don't try to be somebody that you're not at the same time. If humor doesn't work for you in normal everyday life, probably don't use it on the field. Right? But what does, then try it. And if it didn't, then maybe don't throw that away. Maybe it was that player. Maybe it was that moment. It was like, I can get something out of something. And when you have tried something and you get a reaction or get the reaction you want, maybe you try that again. And if that doesn't work, maybe it was that player. Maybe it was that moment. So I know that's a pretty, non-specific answer, but there's no, you remember Herb Silver, right? What was the verbal judo thing?
I never read it,
Still haven't read it to this day. Yeah. and he used to bring that book around with him everywhere he went, Verbal Judo. But to Chip's question, there is an art to it, and we just got to find a way to maximize that art.
I mean, I think if you have the benefit of having Alfred Colonitis in U.S. Soccer instruct you, teach you, and you guided me quite a bit when I realized that there was a path in refereeing above just the weekend, was he would always tell me right out of the gate, which I think really helped put it into perspective, was refereeing is like an orchestra, right? You're the conductor. At the end of the day, you are orchestrating the game. You are, making sure this happens and this happens, instead of sitting there coming in and saying, this is militant, we're going to make everyone do everything we want to do. One, as we all know in America, that doesn't really work well when you try to tell someone they have to do something for just doing something safe. But is effectively, how do we make that art? How do we conduct that music? How do we get, the strings to play with the quartets? And I'm just making this up. I don't really know what the bands are. But that's essentially what, if you can envision it, that's what you want to get to, is to that point. And there's going to be times where you're going to do a random flick and the banjo's going to go off or something like that. But try to find that pace, and it's going to be fun. Maybe not at the moment, but it's always a fun story to tell a couple of days, maybe 10 years later.
Yeah, there's a video out there right now on Dynamic Personality. CONCACAF just put out. There's a shot of me in there from a game in Guatemala with Club America, and I'm fourth official at the time, and talking to what's his name, the real famous Club America coach, and he's just in disgust, and I'm there pointing with a smile on my face, and that was no, but it was used as a positive thing, and in that moment, it was a positive thing.
That's great. Great. Chip, your mic is open, right? You just need to talk. I know you're kind of like laid back, but anyways.
For your game, you're going to use a lot of body language instead of having some conversation. Learn to use one or two buzzwords.
All right. So why don't we, if you don't mind, if you can open up the website and talk a little bit more about what you do and
why you do your lottery?
While I put together the Wheel of Fortune here, I got to add all these names, and then I'll take the desktop away from you, and I play it here, and then I'll let you call them the name and what they're gonna get and all that stuff. All right. So if you
see, I could read that he was buying time, which is a great
thing. Exactly. That's what referees do. I'm a great assistant referee.
Yeah. That's what referees do. Yeah. So Rivers and I were talking earlier about this. I was just kind of explaining it. Like I said, the programs are going live on June 21st or 22nd, whichever that Sunday is. And I kind of gave you guys a synopsis as to why the deadlift came into creation. Is at the end of the day, I don't understand why, and it's gotten better, at least on the referee education, why we kept information kind of secret and it never trickled down to what they call the grassroots level now. Which now, thankfully, because of technology, everyone is able to get that information and it gets transferred and taught at all levels, regardless. But this is one area I think we're lagging in the referee world is strength and conditioning programs. And I think if at the end of the day you start creating a habit and a lifestyle of this early on, you're not necessarily battling with many of these issues the older we get as referees. And the reality that I don't believe in the word work-life balance. I think that's a myth. There's no such thing. I believe in counterbalance, right? We all, realistically, 90% of us will not ever be full-time or part-time referees in any way, shape, or form. We will always try to have another career, vocation, and a family. So how do we continue to train? Because we are here on a Friday night, and then it's 9:51 p.m., and there are still 40 of you guys on this phone call, which means we are all passionate about what we're doing, because all of this sounds illogical to be on doing this at the moment. But we love what we're doing, and I'm spending date night here because I love y'all. So that being said, this is really where DOE comes from. It is strength and conditioning programs. They're 8-week programs in and of themselves. They're created by a certified strength and conditioning coach, like I mentioned earlier, who's also a certified athletic training coach, ATC. Who trained elite athletes and now trains the everyday person to train like an elite athlete with the endurance, strength, power, and recovery foundational core elements of the program. the deadlift effect is really a mentality or a mindset. So if you ever wanted to go in and just kind of read a little bit more of the verbiage on it, that's kind of where it comes from. Is our philosophy with the DLE is effectively that if you focus on one domino, right, instead of saying, hey, I need to eat, like, drink 12 cups of water, I need to meditate for 20 minutes, I need to have 120 grams of protein in a day, I need to do this, I need to do that, and all of a sudden you're like, if I don't do all of that, then I'm not living a well, healthy, and balanced life. That's a myth too. Our thought process is if you focus on only one thing only, what's that one thing that by doing it makes everything else easier? And for us, it is effectively, if you can focus on that one thing, which is physical performance, and just taking care of your physical body at any level, regardless of whether you're refereeing soccer or you're just doing your everyday life, everything else transcends with it, the domino effect. If you focus on the physical side, it transitions into mental strength, it transitions into mental confidence, it transitions into just mental health, and being able to take care of the loved ones around you and those who depend upon you. We always give to other people, and realize that essentially if we're not good, we can't take care of others as well. So that's where the DLE really came from. It's this philosophy that if you physically become strong, everything else follows. It was a concept that we were going to do with general population, just meaning the everyday person. What I found and I saw as a need in the refereeing world was incredibly great and needed. A couple of the other things that are going to be popping off, that's Liz, who does all the programming, is Taylor Holland is another certified athletic trainer as well. He is creating some just general programs that help people with common injuries such as runner's knees, etc. That once those programs are up, if you're having some of those issues, it doesn't take the place of you going and getting an actual medical analysis and stuff, but it helps with, like, if you have runner's knees or if you have chronic plantar fasciitis. And those communications and conversations will be a two-way kind of a talk so we can help guide you through some of those injuries. And the key thing of what a lot of people don't realize is, and I realize it more here in Sarasota, Florida, because usually there's not a lot of athletes, it's just really older folks, is that when you're an athlete, you will get injured, you will get hurt. All athletes get injured and hurt. There's different phases of periods. The difference is when you work with people who work with athletes, their point is to keep them safe, but continue to allow them to perform and develop and train. Not to the point you're injuring or hurting yourself, but continue to get yourself stronger and maybe being able to provide modifications to protect you from continuing to agitate that. But at the same time, you're not sitting. There's other things you can do, right? So my calf is killing me right now, so I go swim laps instead, which I'm not a very good swimmer. I don't think I am. But so that's kind of where it all goes to. And like I said, it's effectively an 8-week program. Each 8 weeks, they are periodization training. Everyone starts at foundational. It doesn't mean that that's where your level is. It just means that's where you build upon each other, essentially between foundational, level 1, level 2. And it actually, once you were to purchase it and have it in the app, you effectively, there's recovery elements put in it. It's based upon your day. You can move the trainings according to what your schedule is. We're going to create one during the college season because it blows the trainers' minds when I tell them that you guys referee games. And I did too sometimes. I did back in the day. Referee 4 or 5 games a day. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. How can you perform for that one game? And like, it's a different world. So we're going to be able to create some programming that will allow you guys to continue to train to maintain and injury prevention during the college season. But at the end of the day, these are kind of how the workouts work. And for right now, I would definitely recommend for all of you who are just curious and just kind of want to know and figure it out.
I think we lost you there.
Uncle, your audio's gone out for everyone.
Hello, Ted. Christina, can you hear me? We lost your audio. We can see you, we cannot hear you. Maybe the headpieces went dead or something.
There you go.
Yep, I can hear you now. Yep.
right.
Sorry about that.
We've been out so long, our mics went off. The phone went dead.
Sorry.
No,
All right. We can hear you now. Great. So we ready for to give away the beautiful prize?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. And then we have a video to play, right?
Oh, that's right.
You want to play the video now, or you want to play the video later? The surprise video. You forgot.
We'll play the video and just end on that note. And the video is like 2 minutes long. It's
okay, so let's give away. Very good. Let's give away the prize then. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Well, that's fun.
Great. And is that the right website right there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I added the names of people that asked questions, not the people that were yelling at me because of the bad audio or whatever. So are we good to go? All right. Let's see if we can spend this. Let's see who the winner is.
It's a long spin.
It is. The only thing working tonight.
The wheel of fortune here.
And all right, Leith.
Leith, you're in.
Leith.
And it's a win.
Congratulations. Let's see if he's still in. Bring him in. Yeah, there he is. Hello, Leith.
Hello.
Hi, congratulations,
Hi.
sir.
Thank you. All the way from Canada, Toronto.
Nicely.
Oh, Canadians.
A couple of times at the IMG and the Disney.
Oh, yeah. No, awesome. Very cool. Well, yeah, I'll get your contact information from Richard.
I'll send him to Richard. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
No problem.
Nice.
Thanks for being on.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Leith. Thank you for staying with us. We're 30 minutes, an hour past our end time, and we still have 39 people on the web here on the webinar, and we have right now 49 people on the YouTube. On the Facebook. 37 on the Facebook and 12 on the YouTube. Wow.
God troopers.
Yep.
Over 80 people. So thank you, everybody. It's been great. Do you want to play the video or you want me to play it?
Yeah, you can play if you. Well, I just wanted to be played as good as possible. So you were having some issues before. You think we'd be better now?
You want to play it on your end because your videos were great. I'll give you the power back and you can play it. And while you're looking for the video, I really want to thank you guys for taking time, from a Friday night, family time to spend it with us. And thank you for everything you guys do for the referee community.
It doesn't matter what day of the week it is.
Or being a lawyer.
Yeah, or being a lawyer.
You ready? All right.
Well, let's play this thing out and then we're going to hop off, all right?
Yes.
Here we go.
Friends and family, I am excited to finally show you Fox Sports and our newbie interns. Oh, and Christina is in charge of it all. They're about to pop that bubbly and get our champagne going. But what I really wanted to show you is the incredible place where they did a lot of Fox soccer tonight, right? We did our digital here. We had fun games here. We have Fox Sports. Our office there, the foosball table over there in that left-hand corner. We also got the pitch going on. This is incredibly cool what they do here at Fox Sports. And we're really excited to be able to kind of show you guys essentially day to day what they have. And we have our amazing analysts and color commentaries over there. We have Jen Hildred. Okay. And we have Kendra. Almost done. They only got a couple more minutes left, waiting for this thing for a backup. But as you can see, all the cameras and the lights and everything that they got. Really, really incredible to see the production behind the game that the referee were incredibly passionate about. To see that it's more than just a game. There's a lot going on. So, take you really quickly to go show you what the Fox Soccer tonight couch looks like. Brought to you by Hotwire. But at the end of the day, this is the couch, right? We had Kate Abjo, we had Kobe and Leslie and Christy Rampone, Landon Donovan, and of course the Presidente. All sitting here and grilling me one night on that I'll go ahead and show you. But
Here's the beautiful stage of Fox Soccer. We're here representing you guys day in and day out for this Women's World Cup over these past 33 days. So happy to bring that to you guys. I'm happy to show you guys everything I did, and it's been a wild ride. I look forward to continuing to do these types of things and also kind of give you guys a sneak peek. Thanks all for the great summer. Look forward to seeing you guys all on the pitch again.
All right, great. Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody. It's been another great webinar. Just a quick reminder, next week is going to be the very last one, and we have Paul Tamburino, 4 times MLS Referee of the Year and ECSR co-founder. Going to be spending time talking about ECSR and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're also going to have Lance coming back, NISOA Director of Operations and CONCACAF Manager of Refereeing. And we're going to have a couple of guest speakers. We're going to be announcing their names next Wednesday. And that will be our final live webinar for the 2020 season. In behalf of RWISOA, thank you, everybody, and have another beautiful weekend. Have a good one.
Good night, all.